And welcome. Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the ABC podcast. My name is Alex and I am joined by Asian Bart Simpson.
I don't even know what to say to that.
You know, sometimes you just do my job for me.
I guess you're welcome.
Thank you.
They really aren't going to understand it, but...
I mean, I could take a picture. I could use that for
just
the
like
meme.
Split screen.
Yeah.
Me and Bart. Have you been seeing some of the stuff on social media? I mean, some people have been putting it up, so... how Bart Simpson would look in real life stuff. It's been going on Instagram mostly. It's really uncomfortable.
I would imagine.
Like just very, just some things that man should not tamper with.
Anyway, so this is our first podcast in the new year. Happy 2017. It's been almost 3 weeks since the last time we recorded.
About that time.
So it's been a long time. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It feels weird to have been gone for so long, but also kind of feels weird to be back. It's like...
You make it sound like I want to be here.
Okay. Well, you know where the door is.
You brought me here.
I did bring you here. But anyway, how was your Christmas?
How was my Christmas? I got sick. I got really, really sick. Yeah, fever, coughing up phlegm, shivering. My life was miserable, but, you know... baby Jesus was born on that day, so...
And you're still alive.
I know, so, I guess all in all, it wasn't that bad. My brother went to the movies without me, though, so I was really upset with him for a couple of days.
What a jerk.
That's my brother. How about you?
It was okay. One of the biggest transitions that you have to get used to from being in school to being in the real world is that you get vacation days. You don't get
school days off.
Yeah, it's not cool. You think that it's like, oh well, now I can just take off a day whenever I want to, but it really doesn't work
a lot of my
way.
friends told me that.
Yeah, so, but I mean, for the break that I did have, it was good. I got to spend a lot of time with my family and Robin's family, and I tried to be as relaxed while also being productive as possible. By productive, I mean reading Twitter, playing a little bit of video games, watch a couple movies, so I can't complain.
Messaging each other, like you and I, all these really weird memes.
Yeah.
How was your New Year's?
It was boring. Yeah, it was really boring. Yeah, I watched a couple movies, drank some, but not enough to get drunk, which may or may not have been my intention.
So you didn't even get turned. You got when you kind of barely twist the knob. It's kind of like that.
Yeah,
you got twisty.
I got a little buzzed for a minute, but it wore off pretty quickly.
It's okay. What did I do during not Thanksgiving? What did I do during New Year's? Netflix. I watched Sherlock.
And chill.
Yeah, with myself.
Okay, so I know you went on a media binge. So you watched Sherlock.
I watched Sherlock.
You watched Stranger Things.
I did, yeah. Very good. I recommend it.
Did you watch... Is it Series of Unfortunate Events out yet? I forget.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. No, it comes out next Friday on the 13th.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. What else did you watch?
What else did I watch? I think that was about it for show-wise. Movie-wise.
So no Luke Cage?
Not yet. I'm going to start Jessica Jones. Yeah. Well, actually, I've been debating between either Jessica Jones or House of Cards. And I feel like I should do Jessica Jones because it's just one season.
Yeah,
so
that's what I would do. Yeah.
So I would just get the...
As much as I love House of Cards.
Yeah, so I would just get the Marvel ones. I don't want to say, get out of the way, but, I wouldn't feel...
Group them together.
I wouldn't feel so bad. Just finish that one, then go to this one. So probably going to do Jessica Jones next.
Right on.
What about you? Did you catch up on any shows? Watch anything?
Yeah, Robin and I have been watching Lost.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure I would say that Lost is my favorite TV show ever. It's definitely one of them, but I would say that if I had to choose one show to only could watch one show for the rest of my life, it would be Lost.
Really?
Yeah, because there's just so much that goes on that little things that play in a really big role later on, or little Easter eggs that come into play later. It's just really fun to look out for those. And this is the third time I've watched Lost. I watched it by myself the first time my senior year of high school. I watched it with my roommate Armando my sophomore year. Now I'm watching with Robin. So it's definitely not going to be the last time I watch it either. So
If I was faced with that, I think I would probably go with probably Seinfeld. Because it's a show about nothing.
Yeah.
So how can you get bored with nothing?
I'm pretty sure most people would say that does get really boring, but I that's not a bad pick.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Seinfeld. So.
Yeah. Plus, like, you're one of the few people I know that actually knows about Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So it's like a lost conversation that I don't really get with some people. So it's like one of the few things like, okay, I can talk with Alex about Seinfeld and he's gonna get it. So if I mentioned about like being thirsty because of pretzels, you're gonna understand the reference instead of thinking that I was actually thirsty because of pretzels.
Yeah. So anyway, so we started that like. When was that? Like October, probably.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
so you guys start for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. But
What's
like the last.
season are you?
Well, we're on season 6 now.
Okay.
Which is the last season. Yeah, the last couple months, we've been like watching it a lot more consistently, like trying to push because it starts out kind of slow, and she wasn't super into it, and then as it went on, like it gets more interesting, and she got really into it, and so she just wanted to watch it more and more. So, yeah, it's been a fun journey.
I need to get there eventually with Lost.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm too excited. I do want to get there. I've seen like maybe 3 episodes, all from different seasons, so I didn't get any grasp on the story. So at some point, I will watch Lost.
Yeah, because I forget what year it first started. I want to say like 2005. Anyway,
I was still in elementary school when it was all
Wow.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I remember they were marketing it as this really weird, mysterious show and all kinds of stuff. And so I started watching it with my dad when it first came on, and we watched like the first, I would say 6, 7 episodes, maybe a little bit more. And then this was before we had a DVR. We just missed like an episode or maybe 2, and we came back and we were like, what the hell is going on? And we just stopped from there. But fortunately, I found it later. I watched it on Hulu the first time.
I remember when Hulu used to offer the free stuff.
Yeah. I used to watch a lot of Hulu.
Me too,
And then
me too.
they started having like 4-minute commercial breaks. And I was like, if I wanted to watch this many commercials, I would just watch actual TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hulu's the worst. But anyway, that's enough recap, I guess. We're basically just the same 2 guys here to talk about things that we find entertaining and you probably don't.
Just bumming around through life.
Yep. But we've got big plans for 2017. Well, I do. I just kind of drag Brandon along.
Yeah. It's kind of like how I kind of live my life, just being dragged along. It kind of helps in some way. You're kind of like the little fish that's on the bigger fish, and you latch on. And somehow you find
remora.
Yeah, and then you find yourself into like bigger waters, and you're like, oh, never thought I would end up right here.
But anyway, part of those big plans include periscoping unboxing videos. So if you want to check that out, go to my Twitter, @AtariAlex. You can find it all there. But you're already listening to this, so you're going to hear me unbox it right now. All right, so we're here. We're unboxing. We've got 2 Funko subscription boxes. We've got a Smuggler's Bounty right here. Got Collector Core down here. So let's get started with the Smuggler's Bounty box. So I subscribed to all 3 Funko boxes: the Collector Core, Smuggler's Bounty, Legion of Collectors, and for Christmas / New Year's, no, I think it was Christmas, Funko decided to reward some of their loyal customers by sending out free subscription boxes.
Oh, sweet.
So I have here from Funko a free Smuggler's Bounty box themed after the Resistance, the successor to the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say they're never going to see this Periscope because they're very busy. They don't have time to watch a schmuck like me unbox their stuff. So I'm just going to say this is probably my least favorite of all of the Smuggler's Bounty boxes, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's still a free gift. I'm very grateful. Thank you, Funko. I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to gift what's inside to other people because I don't need doubles of everything. So without further ado, Brandon, why don't you tell people about what you see on the box?
Sure. So, as with all Smuggler Bounty boxes, it has the interior decoration of starships in the hallways, and on the top we have a Funko Pop image of BB-8. And on the side, it does not. I don't think. Wait, does it have Alex's apartment number at all?
My new apartment number?
Your new one? I don't know.
Anyway, on the inside, you've got our standard patch and pin. The patch is BB-8, his head and like half of his body. And it says Resistance. It has the Rebel Alliance logo, and then it has some alien writing on the sides. And then for the pin, we've got a pilot with a helmet. It doesn't look like Poe very much.
I think it might be Poe though because of the helmet.
Who really knows?
Yeah.
I mean, presumably it would be Poe because I don't think we really know any of the other pilots from
That's
the
true,
Resistance.
yeah.
So, I don't know. But anyway, this is my share of Smuggler's Bounty. So, on the inside, we've got a t-shirt. So, this is a nice charcoal gray. And then it's just got the characters from Force Awakens. Han, Chewie, Millennium Falcon, Rey, Finn, Poe, BB-8, X-Wing. So, no spoilers on here, but not everyone makes it out of the movie onto the shirt. Wait,
That's a little bit of a spoiler.
I guess. But you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway. So, yeah, this is nice and
I
comfy.
like it. I really like the design.
Yeah. And then we've got a mug of C-3PO. Now, my favorite part about this mug is the nice little touch they went to. They added the arm is red like it is in the movie.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah, so that's how you know it's from episode 7. And even though we still don't know why his arm is red, and I don't think they're going to explain it in the movie because I think in Lego The Force Awakens, or Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, there's like a DLC mission where you find out what happens, which is cool, but also kind of lame at the same time for people who aren't going to play the game. But, yeah, anyway. And then the pop is a flocked version of Chewbacca with the bowcaster. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe that this is just the same standard Chewbacca, but with like a fuzzy texture on it. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and open it so Brandon can feel it.
Ooh. I actually wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. There are... Flocked isn't the most common pop variant, but there's a good handful of them. It's not my favorite thing in the world. In fact, this is the only flocked pop that I have. I'm 99% sure, but it's still cool. I can dig it. Anyway, here you go, Brandon. Happy late Merry Christmas. This is for you.
Are you serious?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, thanks.
You are very welcome.
Believe it or not, I actually got you something. It hasn't arrived in the mail yet. But
Okay.
You're actually gonna like it.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
I give a hand to you for that.
Anyway, now on to the good stuff. We've got the most recent Marvel Collector Core box here, themed after X-Men. So, Brandon, a description.
Mm-hmm. So on the top, it has a picture of Logan, without his mask, just regular Logan. On the side, Marvel Collector Core. On the side too, and I guess on right here we have, just in a big logo of Marvel Collector Core X-Men. So pretty simple, nothing too extravagant.
So
Hey, did you get a new knife?
I've had this knife for
Okay.
a while. Oh yeah, I forgot to say this. I was actually planning on saying this. So we're recording from my apartment. Usually we record at the residence hall Brandon lives in, but for reason that doesn't really matter, we're recording at my place today. Second time we've ever recorded, the first time being the one that I recorded with Josh from Toys for Games. But yeah, so usually we record somewhere else, and I carry a knife in my backpack. I usually use that knife to open it, but since we're in my apartment, I've got this knife today. So, yeah.
Alright.
Anyway, so When they were promoting this X-Men box, they were telling us that it's going to have a pop ride in it. So a pop ride, for those who don't know, is just a pop version of a vehicle from a franchise. They've got a ton of pop rides like the DeLorean from Back to the Future, or the Crystal Ship from Breaking Bad, or the Invisible Jet from Wonder Woman. They've got a bunch. So I actually don't have any pop rides. This is going to be my first pop ride I've ever gotten. Now, unfortunately, as I was doing some research for the show today, I got spoiled on what's in the box. So this isn't going to be a surprise for me, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, let's open it. Or try to open it at least.
It's like when Kratos has to open those boxes. Like, he can rip off a head of a god, but he can't do that.
Yeah. All right, so our patch and pin, we've got Storm, and then it says Marvel Top Collector Core around the sides. That's fun. And then the pin is Magneto's helmet, which is like the coolest helmet ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the inside, of course, we've got our comic panels. So we've got Cyclops, nice. What they have a name for this move, right? It's like the Cannonball Special or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's
when Colossus throws Wolverine.
Yeah. And then Storm presumably is using her wind power to like accelerate him even more. We've got Magneto and Cyclops, and can't even tell what's going on here. But anyway, that's not important.
I got a big old Sentinel right here.
Oh yeah. So on the inside, we've got our flyer for the upcoming Marvel box. It is called Superhero Showdown, and then we've got a comic with a pop variant cover of Cyclops doing Cyclops things. Okay, so the t-shirt. Okay, so this t-shirt, it's a nice heather gray. It's got the like ring style around the neck and the arms. And it says Xavier's at the top, and the bottom, Westchester, New York with the Marvel logo. And then it's got in the middle like the school crest, I guess. 1963. Basically, this is like the greatest shirt ever made.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is super rad. This is super rad. I'm kind of tempted to take off my shirt and put this one on right now.
On camera?
No, it needs to be washed. And then...
We got some nice stuff in the box.
Yeah. And then we've got a rock candy of Mystique. This is a relatively recent line from Funko. It's basically just female characters in like almost like a chibi form, but not. I don't know how to explain it. This is the third rock candy we've gotten, I believe. There was one in the DC TV box of Supergirl, and then one in the Women of Power box. Yeah, that sounds right. Of Captain Marvel, is that right? Whatever, that's not important. But then the big news here is Wolverine's motorcycle. Or what does it say? Wolverine? Yeah, Wolverine's motorcycle. I have no words. Nice little touch here is the license plate. I don't know if can they really see it on the recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says X-Men, New York. All right, well, that was a heck of a box.
It was.
Yeah.
I was really impressed, especially by the Wolverine motorcycle one.
Yeah.
I always appreciate the really big kind of pops.
Yeah, yeah. The next Smuggler's Bounty box, because they've started doing this thing where they basically tell you everything that's going to be in the Smuggler's Bounty, which I'm not a fan of. I think I've talked about it before. It's because it takes away this prize element, which is like half the fun, but it's also kind of hard to not get spoiled on it to begin with. Anyway, but they've already announced that the next one is going to have a Pop Deluxe, which I don't know what that means, but it's going to be a big one. If you people out there somehow don't know what it is, which is possible because you kind of have to follow them to know what it is, but if you don't know, I won't say it so that you can be surprised when I open it. But you know what it is, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
But anyway, that's enough about subscription boxes for now. Anyway, we have a couple corrections regarding that. But before we get to the corrections, it is, of course, time for the ABCs of Geekdom segment. And this week is the letter B, and it's my choice. And I've decided that our subject for this week is going to be Barney Rubble.
Okay.
the faithful sidekick of one Fred Flintstone. Just a lovable goof, if you will. Personally, he's always been my favorite out of the two.
Mm-hmm. Just because he's like a little bit more easygoing, a little bit more friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also thought he was funnier because he's so like dumb. He just always is like has funnier lines. And I always thought his wife was prettier. And Bam Bam is like a super cool kid.
Bam Bam. Yeah. He's a little caveman.
Yeah.
With a giant club.
And super strength for some reason.
That too,
yeah. But Barney, he's just so. Let's back up a little bit. So the Flintstones, that's a cartoon. It came out in like the 60s. It's about the modern Stone Age family, if you will. So of course it's about Fred Flintstone. He is married to a lady named Wilma, and they have a daughter named Pebbles. Fred works at it's like a quarry, I guess.
Kind of
like
construction, demolition thing.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. They probably do like explain it, but yeah. Anyway, but he works and he like rides on dinosaurs all day. Like
he uses them as like construction, like construction.
Crane, yeah.
A bulldozer. Those are always my favorite parts to watch.
Like the theme song.
Yeah, I don't know. Just him just like at work. It was just funny because I don't know. It's just clever, I guess.
Yeah. And so he and then they're neighbors, right? Barney is his neighbor. Like,
I want to say so.
I want to say they like live across the street from each other.
Yeah.
But and then they're friends, and I don't think that Barney works with him. I can't say what Barney does for a living. Maybe he doesn't work. I don't know. But they are friends, and they just kind of get up to shenanigans together. They go bowling together a lot because that's like Fred's favorite activity, and they're both members of the the blue elk, blue moose, blue. Do you even know what I'm talking about?
I do. I don't remember because it's been such a long time. I don't remember the last time I had a conversation about the Flintstones.
Yeah.
So it's been a very long time.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Barney. He is very short in stature.
Yeah.
He's
got blonde hair, right?
Yeah. He would be a midget or a little person, whatever the politically correct term is, by today's standards. Of course, he's a cartoon character, so that doesn't really mean anything. And he's married to a lady named Betty, and they have an adopted son named Bam Bam. I remember seeing that episode where they adopted Bam Bam. It was like this whole big deal.
I didn't know he was adopted.
Yeah. It was this whole big deal about how they couldn't have their own kids, and they really wanted a kid, and so they did the noble option of adopting a kid. And then later on, they did a spin-off cartoon with an older Bam Bam and Pebbles because, of course, they get together, and it's about them like being married. And I don't know if they ever have their own kids because they're not like quite their parents' age. You know, Fred and Barney are supposed to be probably like in their
middle ages.
Yeah, like mid-30s, maybe early 40s, and Pebbles and Bam Bam, they're probably like 18, 20, so they're pretty young. So I don't think they had kids in that cartoon. There's also like baby Flintstones, like little Flintstones, something along those lines. Basically, there's like Muppets, and then there's Muppet Babies, and there's Looney Tunes, and then Tiny Toons, and then there's even Baby Looney Tunes. And there was Scooby Doo. And then there was a pup named Scooby-Doo.
I remember. Oh,
I love the pup named Scooby-Doo.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times I would watch that show. Like
so good.
I loved Scooby-Doo, like regular Scooby-Doo, but in a pup named Scooby-Doo, man, I just so much nostalgia right now.
Yeah. But anyway, I remember there was like a little Flintstones cartoon. Yeah. I don't think I ever even watched a whole episode of it. I just know that
I saw like promos for it, but I never actually saw it.
Yeah. What else to say about Barney?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's just keep talking about the Flintstones then.
Did you ever see the crossover between the Jetsons and
Flintstones? Yeah. That was a trip.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happens or how they end up together even, because I think it starts with the Jetsons going back in time, because that makes sense that they would have time travel. right? And then they go back in time. Some shenanigans happens, and then they go back to the Flintstones. Go back, or Fred at least goes back to the Jetsons' time, and something happens. I don't remember. I remember that there was like a conflict between their bosses because both of the main characters don't like their bosses. And I don't remember Fred's
Which kind of spoke a
name.
lot to, I guess, maybe in the 60s, the average American man having to work for the company.
Has anything really changed, though?
I'm not saying it changed. I just think like they did a really good job of like portraying that in the cartoon.
I don't remember Fred's boss's name, but I remember that George's boss, his name was Mr. Spacely.
Yeah,
because he worked for like Spacely. They made like spaceships, I think. But yeah, the Jetsons, that was another really good one. I don't know if there was ever a Young Jetsons cartoon.
I don't think so.
Yeah, not that I know of, but I mean, I kind of feel like there was, just based on that pattern.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't remember, but I mean, Cartoon Network always did.
Boomerang.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to you.
Yep. Nice one.
That's a great slogan.
It is, actually.
What else? So, like, the coolest thing about the Flintstones is how they, like, incorporated, like, the dinosaurs into, like, making it, like, still clearly, like, prehistoric, but also, like, kind of modern.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they had, like, cars and stuff.
Especially, like, in the cars when it goes, like, yabba dabba doo.
Yeah.
And he would have to, like, use his feet to drive, and then somehow it would work like that.
Yeah. But, what else? I mean, I can't... there's tons of examples of how they would use dinosaurs to, like, mimic modern appliances. Like, for example, they had, like, record players where they would have, like, a rock that would, like, spin in the middle, and then instead of, like, the little needle, they would have, like, a bird, and it would just, like, sit there.
Just kind of peck at it.
Yeah. And they had, like, instead of a lawnmower, they had, like, a dinosaur that would, like, lay really close to the ground, and you would, like, push its tail. Yeah. And just all kinds of, like, weird stuff like that. I remember that my aunt, I don't know if she still has it or not, but on her, like, a coffee table, it was a coffee table book. It wasn't a book of coffee tables. But it was, like, all of the, like, coolest inventions that the Flintstones ever used to, like, mimic
modern appliances.
Yeah. It's good stuff. And the Flintstones. It's a quality program.
It really was.
Yeah.
Makes you really appreciate cartoons.
Yeah, I just wish there was an easier way to watch it, because, like, Scooby-Doo is on Netflix.
Is it really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But I don't think the Flintstones.
Now another thing I'm going to end up watching.
Yeah. But there's a lot more Scooby-Doo than there is the Flintstones, because, like, they've remade Scooby-Doo so many times. Like, I remember What's the New Scooby-Doo? That was my jam back in, like, elementary school.
They always had, like, the real groovy, like, kind of theme songs for them.
Yeah. And there's so many movies, Scooby-Doo movies.
Zombies and demons and witches.
The one of them, I don't know what movie it was. It had something to do with aliens, I remember, but it freaked me out.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Spooky stuff. Oh yeah, there's a Flintstones movie that came out in, I just looked it up. It was like 1994.
Is that the one? I think didn't John Goodman?
Yeah, it was John Goodman. Yeah, it did come out in 94. Wow, it was a long time ago. Anyway, yeah. So John Goodman played Fred Flintstone, and then Rick Moranis played Barney. Rick Moranis probably best known for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, and Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. I would have to guess. Let's see. What else has Rick Moranis been in? Oh, he was in Ghostbusters. Who could forget that? He's in Spaceballs, of course. He was in Brother Bear. Yeah, anyway, Rick Moranis, Barney Rubble. Good stuff. So that's the letter B for this week. I thought it was a fun little chat. We didn't want to talk about Barney too much, but it's fine.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a nice trip down memory lane.
True. Okay, well, let's move on to the correction segment. So the first thing we have to talk about is the episodes that Robin has appeared on of this podcast, because she was on both of our two previous episodes because they were recorded on the same day, episode 39 and episode 40. But prior to that, she was on episode 17. That was when she made her debut. Then she was on episode 21, which is the episode that we talked about Whiplash, I think. No, I can't remember. I was looking at all of it today. Now I remember. And then episode 23, the number 23. That was an episode with Jasmine and Vincent. And Robin was like on the first half of that, and then she started not feeling well, so she kind of left without telling anybody. So that was fun. Then she was on episode 29, and then episode 34, episode 39, and episode 40. So that's a grand total of, if you count all of episode 23, that's a grand total of 7 episodes. So, yeah. I don't know what percentage that is out of 41 episodes. I'm not that good at math.
It's like almost 7%. Almost, like, not quite, but
7%? That sounds too low.
maybe. Because I mean, like 49. Like,
Okay.
what about
I'm
7?
just gonna have to look it up now.
That's probably, or maybe like points. I don't know. I was never a big math person.
I'm not gonna say anything. That would be approximately 17%.
7 is it?
Okay, next correction is we were talking about, so last time, or sorry, in episode 39, we unboxed the Rogue One Smuggler's Bounty box. And the t-shirt that we got in that box was black. And I was lamenting how many black t-shirts I'd gotten through these Funko subscription boxes. So I did a little bit of digging, and boxes that had black t-shirts included Civil War, Deadpool, Secret Wars, and Ant-Man from Marvel Collector Corps.
Which you're wearing right now.
Yep. So that's 4 out of 11 total MCC boxes. And then for Smuggler's Bounty, First Order, Resistance, you had a 1 in 4 chance of getting a black shirt, as we saw here, where I got like a charcoal gray-ish color. So, yeah. And then the Cantina and Rogue One boxes, those were all black-colored t-shirts. So that's 4 out of 7 Smuggler's Bounty boxes. And then only 1 of the Legion of Collectors boxes have had black t-shirts, and that was the DC TV box. So 1 out of 5, 20%. So that's what? Hold on, let me count real quick.
There's so much math on this episode.
So that's a total of 9 boxes out of 23 total boxes that have shipped. And I don't even want to think about how much money that is. Okay, next correction here is in the Smuggler's Bounty box, we got a Hikari, first Hikari we've ever gotten from a subscription box. Brandon and I had a whole big conversation about it before we started recording, so I won't rehash all of that. But I was talking about the influence of, or what influenced the Hikari line from Funko. So Hikari in Japanese literally means light. Now, I'm not sure if that means like light, like from the sun or what have you, or if it means like it doesn't weigh very much, or like good in that sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all I know is it means light. But they are a homage to Sofubi, which are soft vinyl toys that became popular in Japan around the 60s. So it's kind of harkening back to that. Now, I have that's the only Hikari I have, the Darth Vader one that we got. I haven't unboxed it, like it's still in the box, and I have it here. It's in my bedroom. But I don't feel like going to get it to see if the vinyl is any softer than a regular pop. So we'll just have to always wonder.
Until you go to bed and just like open it up real quick. Just maybe take out the microphone like, hey, letters is editor Alex real quick. Just
okay, you know what? I'll be right back. Okay, so I have here the Darth Vader Hikari that came in the Rogue One box, and a original Hulk pop vinyl was just the closest one that I could grab. And they actually really do feel a lot different. The Hikari is hollow.
It's really light.
Yeah, which is really surprising to me, because all of the pops, they are like, they even have some that are like clear, like this is probably going to be a little bit of spoiler for Inside Out, but the Riley's imaginary friend Bing Bong,
Mm-hmm.
he can turn invisible in that movie, and so there's a variant pop of him that's totally invisible, and so you would think that it's just like the outline of it, but it's actually solid
Right.
solid vinyl. But the Hikari is definitely hollow, which is kind of weird. But in addition to just the lightness, they actually do feel a lot different. So, yeah, thank you for making me go do that so that we could clear that up.
You're welcome. See, then we have to do this like either a correction or you have to like edit it in. But no, man, we just did right now.
You have such great foresight.
See, I try to tell my friends that who are like in a relationship who have like problems, and they never believe me until it's too late.
That you have great foresight?
Yeah, so we tell them like, hey, this is not gonna work. This is a bad idea.
Okay, next correction here is the pop from the most recent Smuggler's Bounty box. It was a Death Trooper, and I was talking about the difference between it and the difference is the rifle that is being held by the different pops. So the regular one has like a regular laser gun, yeah. And then this one has a much longer rifle, and it's been dubbed by the pop community as the Sniper Death Trooper.
Okay.
So
I also did check like the sniper one does have like a little thing on the shoulder. So
okay, well I didn't pull it out of the box to check. So.
I looked at it like online. I don't know why I did it. Maybe because I was just really bored in my bed. I'm just like, let's like zoom in, and I zoomed in with all I could on my phone at both the things, and my brother passed by and like, what the hell are you doing?
Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so you're talking about this little shoulder plate here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, totally movie accurate, which is awesome. Oh, he's got a little.
They're pointing his butt.
Yeah, there's like he's got like a belt, and there's like some kind of mark on it or something. It's like they've chipped it or something when they're painting it. Whatever.
I'm just gonna have this entire table full of pops.
Yeah, basically.
It's not a bad thing.
Hey, I mean, I could go get some more.
Oh God, no.
Okay, moving on. Moving away from the subscription boxes, we've got correction from the ABCs of Geekdom segment from last week. We talked about Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, or so some say. But anyway, we were talking about how when he arrived in Coruscant and was presented to the Jedi Council, how they refused to train him because he was too old. Now, I did some looking into it, and I couldn't really find a quote-unquote official answer as to why this is. Like, the Wikipedia didn't really say anything about it. I didn't find any, like, StarWars.com articles or anything like that. The best, like, the answer that kept coming up, and the answer that, before I started doing my research, that I kind of thought would be the reason, is that if you take the child from the family at a young age, they don't form the attachment that they would with their family, which, as we all know, kind of turned out not very well for Anakin later on. So, that kind of does make sense, but I feel like in most cases it wouldn't really be that big of a deal. But, I mean, who knows?
Actually, believe it or not, I found this video that kind of talks about, like, these, like, video series that talk about different philosophies from like pop culture and games and movies, and they did one that was like the philosophy of Darth Vader, and I actually kind of touched upon the subject that you mentioned. When Jedi find like force sensitive children at a very early age, they take them away. So the bond that they create, that a child makes, is with the Jedi, the Jedi life, instead of like with their family, so they don't have that problem with the whole attachment and then leaving their family. So you're actually you're on the right track. Now, not saying the video was canon, but that was like a hypothesis that
right.
Up.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, it does make a lot of sense, but I guess until George Lucas comes out and says the real reason, we'll never really know. All right, next correction here is we were talking about Batman Returns, because we were talking about Two-Face being voiced by Billy D. Williams in the Lego Batman movie, and we were talking about Christopher Walken and how his character was basically supposed to be played by Billy D. Williams is Harvey Dent, but they ended up changing that. Anyway, the character that Christopher Walken played in the movie Batman Returns, his name was Max Schreck.
Like Shrek.
Spelled differently,
okay.
But as far as I can tell, I don't know how else I'd pronounce it.
Shrek.
Yeah. Okay, next correction here is we're talking about teenagers that have played teenagers.
Oh, right.
Now, the short answer to this correction is I don't know. I found lots of lists of people who were really old who played teenagers, but I couldn't find a list of like, this was a teenager who played a person who's supposed to be a teenager, because that doesn't really sound like a very entertaining list. So they exist. I know they exist. I just can't point to any specific examples of any because I didn't feel like that just sounded like too much work. So, yeah. Do you want to know some examples of really old people who played teenagers?
I actually would.
Okay. So, did you ever watch the show Hannah Montana?
A couple episodes, yeah.
Okay, so she had a brother on that show.
Yeah.
And I forget the actor's name, but he was 34.
Holy God!
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's...
And then, what was another one? In Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the guy, Ferris's friend, I don't remember his name either, but he was like in his 30s, I think, when that movie came out. And what was another one? Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio in Catch Me If You Can. You ever seen that movie?
Mm-hmm. I did.
So
really good movie.
Yeah, love that movie. So he plays a character named Frank Abagnale. He's like 16 at the beginning of the movie, and he's like around 18 at the end of the movie. But he was like 26, 28 in that movie, when he filmed the movie. So, yeah, which is really weird because he looks like such a baby still.
Like now or
no? Then yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
He's starting to show signs of age.
A little bit.
Okay, next correction is also another not really correction. We were talking about Unicron.
Yeah.
Because 3 episodes ago, that's going to throw me off so much. In episode 38...
When we saw the last night trailer.
Yes. Brandon saw something that he believed to be Unicron, who is like a god in the Transformers
or like
universe.
the dark deity of the Transformers.
Yeah, and so he told me to like do a little bit more looking into it, and I did, and basically everything he said was right, and I couldn't really add anything to that conversation. So, good job, Brandon. You know
thanks.
a lot about Transformers.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. It's one of my hidden talents. Actually, if I ever make a dating profile, I should like add that like encyclical knowledge of Transformers and like every other pop culture stuff. So if you want to talk about the fall of the Jedi Council, it kind of sounds so bad.
I'm fortunate. I only ever had to go on one first date. I did not talk about the Jedi Council. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have prepared her better for what she was getting into. But we didn't really talk about much of anything.
I'm excited to hear about that on the wedding.
All right, next correction is we were talking about Chris Columbus because he directed Home Alone.
Okay, I thought we were talking about like...
No, not the
the
Explorer.
I don't know why I thought about that. Sorry.
Anyway, so I said that he directed the first 3 Harry Potter movies. That's actually incorrect. He directed the first 2 Harry Potter movies. The third movie was directed by Alfonso Cuarón. Cuarón? I don't know how to say it. Something like that. Moving on, we're talking about Despicable Me. Because there was a correction from episode 38 because we watched the trailer for Despicable Me 3. Or what? No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, but anyway, the bad guy from the first Despicable Me was not voiced by Jack McBrayer. It was voiced by Jason Segel.
Okay.
But Jack McBrayer was in the movie. He voiced the Carnival Barker / Tourist Dad. And also, I found out when I was looking this up, I didn't know before, Dr. Nefario, voiced by Russell Brand.
Yeah. I was very surprised about that.
Mm-hmm.
What's he doing nowadays?
I don't know. I really don't know. I can't even... What was the last movie he was in? It's like Arthur? It came out 2012,
that was
I think.
A while ago.
Yeah. Wow, that was 5 years ago. That's crazy. Anyway, I don't know. All right, moving on here. The villain from... Sorry. Jason Statham. He played a villain in the Fast and the Furious movies. He's going to play the ally of the majority of the Fast and Furious crew in Fate of the Furious. Anyway, he first appeared in in the 6th movie, Fast 6, But he made a cameo, like they were setting him up as the villain for the 7th movie, where he played the main antagonist throughout the movie.
I didn't even know he was.
Yep.
Now I know. I felt like I've already seen the movie.
Yep. And then another Fast and Furious correction is we were talking about the actress who from Game of Thrones, who was in the trailer for the newest movie. So first thing is, so her name is Natalie Emmanuel.
Mm-hmm.
And on Game of Thrones, she plays a character named Missandei. Now, the first correction is that I pronounced it wrong last week. I said Mercedes.
Oh, did you? I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. So I've never read the Game of Thrones books. I've listened to the first 3 on audiobook. And the way the guy pronounces her name, it sounds an awful lot like that to me. Now, it's possible that they changed the spelling between the book and the show. That wouldn't be the first time they've done that for a character. But it also could just be his British accent. I can't really tell. It's also really funny because in the audiobook version, he gives her a very stereotypically Asian voice. And then on the show, she's black.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But anyway, she was in Furious 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I forgot that she was, even though I've definitely seen that movie.
She just left Essos a little bit and just came over here.
Yeah. Drove over. Okay, next correction here is we're talking about the upcoming NBC, or the upcoming sitcom Powerless, set in Gotham City, of course. And I wasn't sure what network was on. I was pretty sure that it was on NBC, but I wasn't positive, and turns out I was right.
Nice.
Good job. Yeah. You know, it's really weird that DC has themselves spread out across so many networks because, you know, Disney owns ABC and they own Marvel. So everything that they have is either on ABC. They've got a couple stuff on Netflix. They're bringing a show to Freeform, formerly known as ABC Family. So that's another channel they own. So they've got everything, you know, pretty
tight.
Yeah. But DC, they've got Powerless on NBC. They had Supergirl on CBS. They've got Gotham on Fox. They've got a bunch of shows on the CW. Am I forgetting? I feel like I'm forgetting one. Oh, they had Constantine on NBC.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Lucifer is on Fox. I feel like there's still another one I'm forgetting. Yeah, but it's just really weird that they would, you know, not have everything in one centralized location because DC Comics is owned by Warner Brothers Entertainment, who I believe, I know this was a correction a few episodes ago, but I believe that they still own a part of the CW network.
I think so.
Which is, you know, they have the majority of their shows on there, and that's like their, you know, DC TV universe.
Right.
Like everything else is separate, whereas everything there is all connected. So, you know, they're doing most of their marketing for that, but it seems weird that they would still make these licensing deals for other networks. But whatever.
I still want my Jane the Virgin Flash crossover. I still really want that. I think it would be a really big hit with people. But, you know, I'm just holding off for the days. But, you know, in this world of crossovers,
Yeah,
anything's possible.
Yeah, that's definitely true. What's the weirdest TV crossover?
Weirdest TV crossover?
Yeah, I feel like there was one that I can't quite put my finger on. I don't know. We'll have to look into it for next
First thing
week.
that comes to my mind, like I won't say weirdest, but the first thing that comes to my mind is when Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron cross together.
That is pretty weird.
Yeah.
But anyway. Okay, next thing is we're talking about the sequel to An Inconvenient Truth, because why not? And Al Gore did not direct that documentary, but he was quote unquote presented by Al Gore. So I guess I haven't seen it, but I guess he like narrated or did like.
He did the narration, I remember. Maybe he had like some creative stuff to do behind the scenes. Okay,
next correction is we were talking about Rogue One, obviously, and this isn't a spoiler, but we were talking about Tarkin, right? And I called him. Was he not? He wasn't in any of the trailers. Okay, a little bit of a spoiler. Tarkin's in the movie. Shoot me. Anyway, I called him Director Tarkin, but his title
I didn't even
is...
notice any of these things that you've been saying. Really?
Do you ever notice any of them?
Sometimes I do.
Okay.
But sometimes I'm so caught in the conversation, like kind of slips by.
Sure.
So yeah. So
Yeah.
okay.
Anyway, but his real title is Grand Moff
Yeah.
Tarkin.
Which is funny because I know a lot of people think that Moff is his first name.
Okay, and then the next correction is our fanfic fights from episode 39. Genie was the genie from Aladdin was one of the contestants, and I talked about one of his quotes, "ultimate cosmic power." Now, the actual quote is "phenomenal cosmic powers," and that's actually not the first scene that he's in. So, if you've never seen Aladdin, I guess this is going to be a spoiler, but I mean, it's an old movie, so get over it. So,
Or just watch it.
yeah, that too.
It's a great movie.
It is a really good movie. So anyway, Jafar tricks Aladdin into going into the Cave of Wonders to retrieve for him the magic lamp so that he can use it to take over I actually don't know what his end goal is with getting the lamp. I mean, I know he wants power.
Yeah.
And I think he wants Jasmine, but I'm not 100% on that.
I think he just wants to. At first, he wants just to be Sultan, I think. But yeah, I think maybe it's just power, and once he has a genie, he just gets more power.
Right. But anyway, so he tricks Aladdin going into the Cave of Wonders to get the lamp. He doesn't. The Cave of Wonders ends up closing, and Aladdin is stuck in this giant pit, cave thing, whatever. And then he rubs the lamp. Genie comes out. He gives him a little introduction, and then he sings the song "Friend Like Me," which is probably the best song in the movie. You don't think so?
I made that face because there's a lot of good songs in the movie.
Well, what's your favorite song?
I don't know. There are too many of them, man.
Okay, whatever. But anyway, so he sings the whole song, and then Aladdin tricks him into getting him out of the Cave of Wonders without using up a wish. And then they land on like a beach somewhere,
Like an oasis or something like that.
something like that. And that's when he gives him the line about phenomenal cosmic power. So, yeah, not the first scene that Genie appears in. That was the correction. Okay, moving on here is... So this is now jumping into episode 40. Just a few corrections on that one. So one of my wishes was for more news about the Shazam movie. Mm-hmm. And I was talking about how they had announced that Dwayne Johnson was going to be playing Black Adam like years and years ago. So I couldn't find like a press release or like a really official announcement that it was going to be The Rock playing this character. The oldest article I could find referencing this casting choice was from September 3rd, 2014. So
it's still a while ago.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So that's not like for sure the oldest like when the announcement was made, but we'll just roll with it.
Okay.
Anyway, as I was looking into it, I found out that they actually do have a writer for the movie attached to the project. His name is Darren Lemke. And as of now, it is slated to release on April 5th, 2019.
Okay, so we still have 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
can you wait that long?
I mean, yeah. It's not going anywhere.
Think we're gonna be alive by that point?
Well, we'll see, I guess. All right, moving on. So another wish that we talked about last week was Brandon wanted a set of Mandalorian armor.
Yeah, or Stormtrooper or Clone Trooper. Any one of those.
First Order Trooper.
Oh, yeah.
And then that conversation kind of evolved into talking about the 501st Legion and then the guys who get contracted by LucasArts or Lucasfilms or whatever to do lightsaber choreography. Like they teach classes, they'll like go to events and do like put on, full-scale battles and stuff. Anyway, they're called the Saber Guild.
All right.
Yes.
Now I know.
Mm-hmm. All right, next correction here is Michael wanted Kingdom Hearts 3. Well, I think his exact quote was he wants Kingdom Hearts 3 to be a thing, which technically it is a thing. Like, we know that it's coming, but I think what he meant was to either get a firm release date or for it to be released this year, which is theoretically plausible. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be like Half-Life 3, where they just keep talking about it and it never actually happens.
Oh,
But, we got Final Fantasy 15 and The Last Guardian came out last year. Those were supposedly never going to come out, so never say never. But anyway.
all right, Justin Bieber.
Kingdom Hearts, the first game, was released on March 28th, 2002.
Oh my gosh.
And then Kingdom Hearts 2 came out on December 22nd, 2005.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. This has been quite a wait.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous when you lay it all out like that. Okay, and then the final correction for this segment, and then we're going to take a break, is one of Michael's wishes was for Wonder Woman to be like a really good movie, something along those lines. I forget what he actually said. But he said that the Wonder Woman movie is going to be the first female superhero movie. And I'm here to say that is incorrect. The first movie featuring a female superhero was Elektra, starring Jennifer Garner. The sequel to the much despised Daredevil, starring Ben Affleck. She was in that movie too, and then she got her own movie. It's one of the few Marvel movies I've never seen, because I heard it's not very good. But she's a female. She got her own movie. So anyway, that is all of our corrections. It was super fun. So we're going to take a break. We've got a couple of trailers to watch, and then we're going to come back and talk about them. So stay tuned. Okay, we are back. And despite having not recorded for 3 weeks, we actually don't have that much news to talk about.
Well, I don't know about news.
No, even news. Like,
really?
There's really not that much.
Okay. Hey, you're the one that finds the stuff. I just talk about it.
Yep. But anyway, we do have a few trailers to go over. So the first one we watched was for Cars 3, and I'm really hesitant to talk about this.
I don't think they're trailers. I think the person that you found to watch this video on YouTube probably just stuck them all together because they seem like little like mini promos that you get like at the beginning of the video.
I guess. Basically, it just showed off 2 new cars plus Lightning's new design. It was very boring.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't expect you to, crap your pants when you saw it from excitement.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Did you at least fart out of excitement?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, they tried at least.
Yeah, that's true.
I do like their designs, though.
Yeah, I mean, they look sleek. It just didn't tell me anything about the movie, which is, I'm not...
You did hear Baby making music in one of them.
Yeah, that is true.
Which made me, really uncomfortable for the rest of the time we were watching in the car. Because I'm like, oh, maybe I should be watching this.
Okay, and then... Well, I don't have anything else to say. Do you have anything else to say?
No, just...
Oh, okay.
I like the designs. They look cool. If we hear any more Baby making music with the other cars, this day is going to come back to haunt me.
Okay, and then after that, we watched The Cult of Chucky.
Yeah.
So, a little history lesson here. Child's Play was a horror movie that came out, like in the 80s, maybe? I'm actually not entirely sure. But basically, it was about the what happens is the soul of a like serial killer or mass murderer somehow gets transferred into this doll called the Chucky doll. This kid gets the doll for like his birthday or something, and then the doll comes alive and starts killing everybody. And since then, they've made a handful of sequels. I'm not sure how many in total, but they're coming out with a new one, and it looks just about as dumb as the rest of them.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But I mean, if that's your thing, then awesome. If not, I'm right there with you. Yeah. And then we watched a trailer we're not going to talk about, and then we watched.
Oh god.
And then we watched a trailer, or the Red Band trailer for Alien Covenant. And so Brandon and I have talked numerous times at length about how much we love the Alien franchise. But this was not a good trailer. It didn't, in my opinion, it didn't do a good job of selling the aspects of the Alien series that make it so enticing. It was very they tried to go a more like horror route. They like, I don't know, it just didn't really grip me.
I know what you mean. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting trailer for me.
Yeah.
I'll agree. I do think they kind of did it in the right move with this whole like kind of a little bit more of a horror element, because you know the Alien franchise has always done a pretty good job about that, because you know, it's always been a thing where, like, you know, these monsters find you in space, and who's going to hear you scream in space?
Right.
So, like, there's nowhere else for you to run on a vessel or anything like that. And it's always been, you know, it kind of teeters on that line between sci-fi and horror, and I think it does a good job. And I know the recent games have done a really good job of, you know, implementing both horror elements and sci-fi together properly. So I'm okay with the fact that they did that for the trailer, but I do agree that it wasn't the most like amazing trailer. Like I'm expecting, you know, like whenever you see a trailer for Star Wars or let's say maybe a Marvel movie, or like maybe something that you've been expecting for a while, and you watch the trailer, more so for me, because I know you're more like hesitant from that, but like you get like that feeling of nostalgia, or like some excitement from that. This one, I was happy that we got a trailer for Aliens, but you know, just I don't know, maybe just I wasn't like, since I knew it was coming, or maybe I saw more from like kind of a different perspective, but I didn't get that same enticing feeling. I'm still happy and very excited we got it. Just I'm kind of with you, but it wasn't too you know, gripping for me.
Okay, so excluding Prometheus, which is part of the Alien universe, but it's not part of the Alien series, if that makes any sense. So excluding that one, the last Alien movie came out in 1997. So it's been a whole 20 years since the last Alien movie came out. So you've got to assume that new people are going to be coming into the franchise. Right. It's going to be their first time seeing anything about a xenomorph. And this trailer didn't do a good job of explaining what the series is about, why it's cool and fascinating and terrifying and just so fun to watch. And granted, a lot of that is on me because I'm so into the lore of the series, which a lot of casual moviegoers, like even if they've seen all the movies, they're just not going to care about that, right? They just want to see people get killed, I would assume. But I don't know. It didn't, like, it wasn't a bad trailer, but it
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think the opening part did a pretty good job of trying to sell that kind of horror aspect of it, or just selling the aspect of the movie, like the trailer itself. I thought it was pretty good because, you know, somebody's trying to, you know, get out of this room, the other person won't let them out of the room, and you see this guy convulsing, something breaks out of his back, and it's pretty nasty stuff. And it's pretty interesting stuff, but I know what you mean. Maybe, I don't know what they could have done. Maybe like focus a little bit more on the xenomorph, or kind of like talk about the history a little bit, or just doing something else. I'm okay with the trailer, but I definitely know where you're coming from this.
Yeah. So the thing that I'm most curious about this movie is the timeline placement.
Right.
Because Prometheus came out 2011, and that was a prequel movie that was supposed to take place before any of the other previous entries in the franchise. And Michael Fassbender was in that movie. He played an android named David, and he is in this movie as well. But I believe as a human, right? Is that...
I actually don't know.
Okay, I think that's right, but I'm not 100% with that. But regardless, Michael Fassbender's in this movie, and what does that mean about where...
I don't know. Maybe like if we're going off the theory that you said, maybe the android was modeled after him.
Right.
Like somebody was inspired to make this android because they had a close connection to Michael Fassbender's character or something like that. Or
So you think this is going to take place before Prometheus even? Because that wouldn't really make any sense because...
Yeah, I know what you mean, but like, or maybe he had like, maybe it was a really weird birthday present. So like, hey, I made you an android and it looks just like you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's confusing. I don't know.
But I do want to see this movie though.
Yeah, no,
because I have never seen any of the Alien movies in theaters,
Yeah,
and
same.
I would love to see them on the big screen.
Yeah.
Especially like proper like Alien style, not like Alien vs Predator. As you know, as cool as that movie was, and as much as I enjoy it, I love seeing as the aliens being the main threat in the movie.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and then we watched the teaser trailer for Blade Runner 2049.
Yep. Have you seen Blade Runner?
I have.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. I don't like the movie. Like it, I just straight up don't like it. Which I know is heresy. Like I know a lot of people really revere that movie.
Right.
It's not my thing. I was incredibly bored, kind of confused. I was bored, so I wasn't paying attention, and I wasn't paying attention, so I got confused, and that made me more bored. It's like a bad cycle. It's not the first time it's ever happened for me in a movie, but I'm not going to see Blade Runner 2049 because it would require me to rewatch Blade Runner so I could know what's going on, and I just really don't want to do that. So, but we're going to talk about the trailer anyway. It was, like I said, it was a teaser. As we've gone on with this podcast, I have become very aware that there needs to be a distinction between a teaser and a trailer, because if you go into watching a teaser thinking it's going to be a trailer, you're going to be very disappointed. But we saw Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, which surprised me.
Yeah. We saw Harrison Ford. We saw a gun.
We saw Ryan Gosling going into a
Like
building.
a castle, almost.
That had Korean words on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
that's...
yeah. I mean, I do have to give it off to this movie, though. Like, this movie came out a long time ago, and people have always been talking about, oh, there's going to be another, sequel to Blade Runner. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And people have been talking about it for so long.
Yeah.
It's got to the point where, like, it's never going to happen. And it's finally happening. I do think props need to be given to that. Now, if it's going to be a good sequel, that's still up for debate. But I say they've, I guess, reached the first milestone by saying that this movie's going to be made, and they already have the casting, and the shooting's being done, so...
Yeah, it doesn't come out until October.
Which I was very surprised about. Like, nowadays, trailers don't come off, like, showing the date being that far off.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, that was kind of a thing, not that far off, but still, like, you have to wait a couple of months for that.
Yeah.
Now, this is a long time away.
Mm-hmm. But... yeah, I don't have anything else to say. It's, if you're into Blade Runner and you're hyped for this movie, awesome. I'm really excited that you're getting a sequel. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last trailer that we watched, and we're going to just talk about this really briefly too, because I don't have much to say, is for a new show on the CW called Riverdale. Now, this is based off of the Archie comics. I don't know how familiar you are with them.
Very, very...
barely.
Yeah, like, I can't even finish the sentence. That's how I can barely, like, skim the surface of it. I know, like, one guy's name is Archie. That's about it.
Yeah, no, I know a little bit more than that. So,
Okay.
the main character is Archie. He's a redhead.
Uh-huh.
His best friend, his name is Jughead, and he wears a paper crown all the time.
Uh-huh.
And then now this is where I start to... I'm not sure. Then Archie, I believe, is dating a girl named Veronica.
Okay.
And then Jughead is dating some other girl. I don't remember her name. And that's really all I know about it. I think there's been a lot of, like, romantic entanglement between the four of them, but whatever. But they are... If you actually, now that I think about it, I don't really see them anymore. But I remember when I was younger, like when you would go to the grocery store and you were in the checkout aisles, like I would always see them there. Yeah. And yeah, now that I think about it, I actually don't see them anymore. But that's beside the point. Anyway, so they are these comics. I've never read any of them, but as far as I know, they've always been, like happy-go-lucky, like typical high school or adventure kind of things. But this trailer is very, very markedly different. It starts off with a murder. There's a lot of sex in the trailer. There's just all kinds of weird things happening. So it's like they basically they took this world and these established characters and they did a very like Gossip Girl or soap opera
or like Pretty Little Liars
kind Pretty Little Liars, One Tree Hill.
Everything you see on the CW is like those like young adult teen romance kind of mystery genre thing. I don't know, like they just mix so much stuff into it. I just the genre that I'm talking about, like like all the shows we listed, like where all the pretty people come on.
But yeah, it's if you're into that kind of thing, and I know at least one person who's into that kind of thing, and she knows who she is. She's not going to listen to this though, probably. Yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, I'm sure it'll be great. Like it looks very similar to a lot of the shows we just mentioned, but not my thing. I already watch way too many TV shows. I don't need to add another one.
We did see somebody in the trailer get the crap slapped out of them.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
that was a hell of a slap.
I was like, oh god. I was like something straight out of a telenovela.
Okay, well, that's all the trailers for this week, so let's get into some news.
Do we really have to?
Yeah, we do.
I don't... Not that I don't want to talk about it, just like...
you know what's coming.
I don't want to talk about it, please.
We have to.
Okay.
So, Carrie Fisher, she passed away recently. Yeah. She was 60 years old. And, it was... it just went from bad to worse really fast. She was flying back to LA from London, and towards the end, like they were getting ready to land, and she had a heart attack, and they resuscitated her. They brought her to the hospital. She was bad for a while, but then she was in stable condition. So, things seemed to be improving, but then she passed away. She just
literally, like, I remember the day it happened. Like, I woke up, looked at my phone. At least 5 people said, like,
R.I.P.
Brandon, you're gonna be so heartbroken when you look at this.
Yeah, it was.
It really hurt. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, you always hear about celebrities dying, and of course, if you're a fan of them, it hurts.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe this is because I grew up with watching her, and of course, she's had other work besides Star Wars, but it was such a big, influential part of my life that seeing somebody just die like that is just, I don't know. It sounds weird because I never knew Carrie Fisher. I had no relation with her whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe because she was just such a big part of my childhood. It's just it's like that bad part of when reality hits you, and then you have to realize that, this is a natural course of life.
Yeah. The worst part is that she wasn't that old. She was 60 years old, which is not young by any means, but still, most people she could have had another 20 years left, and
she was still doing things.
Yeah,
she was doing interviews. She just completed shooting for episode 8 of Star Wars. Yep. She is doing a bunch of more stuff with
her weird Twitter.
Yeah, her Twitter. I love her Twitter though. And then she was doing like more book stuff. She was gonna do more like acting things, and then just all of a sudden just kind of halted just like that.
It's really sad. And then to make things even worse, literally the next day, her mother died. Debbie Reynolds, who was herself, she was a famous actress. Her best known role was from Singing in the Rain. Just the strain and the stress of seeing her daughter pass away just took its toll, and she died. She was 84 years old, and it was really sad. we've talked about other celebrity deaths on the show. People, had been lamenting the fact about how many people 2016 had taken away from us because, 2016 is totally has power over life and death. But
I'm not gonna lie, 2016 kind of sucked for me, so I can't really argue against that.
But yeah, I mean, out of all the celebrities that died, I think Carrie Fisher, personally to me, Carrie Fisher was the biggest one, the most devastating. Now, I will admit that when I found out about Carrie Fisher dying, I was like, oh no, that's terrible. And then my second thought was, what does this mean about Star Wars?
Yeah.
So we found out that all of her scenes were shot for episode 8. So that is good. We don't have to worry about that per se. But we found out later on that her role in episode 8 is even bigger than it was in episode 7, which isn't saying much. She got very little screen time in episode 7. But in episode 9, her role is supposed to be even bigger than in episode 8. And now, obviously, they could, we've seen now they have the capability of putting actors into movies in which they weren't actually there. I hope they don't do that.
I feel like probably they won't.
Yeah.
Just because I saw just watching
Yeah.
how closely knit the actors are that they probably wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, it would be weird. I wouldn't say it's disrespectful, but it would just feel wrong.
Yeah, it just wouldn't fit in properly.
Yeah.
Like I make the argument that it's okay for spoiler that they did it with Tarkin because like he's no longer with us. I mean, and also like to make the story flow, like he has to be in there. And then they asked permission from the family, and like they were like, yeah, that's totally fine. You can do that. And the way they portrayed Tarkin was very respectful and portrayed. And I think like if they ever did that, like they wouldn't do anything to disrespect the image of Leia or Carrie Fisher. I just think everybody on set. And just like how well that she got along with everybody, they just wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I hope that they address her death in episode 8 rather than waiting to episode 9. I just feel like that makes more sense from a story perspective, and just a few years down the line, like either people would get hurt, like they would get upset again about having to relive it, or it just wouldn't be as timely to honor her memory. So. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. Don't necessarily think that they're going to kill off Leia. I think they could just have her, quote unquote, ride off into the sunset. Just have her, go off on some mission and then just kind of vaguely mention her in episode 9. But I'm sure that they will handle it very tactfully, however they end up doing it. So,
I think this is the saddest moment on the podcast.
Yeah, it's
It was hard.
Okay, next thing here. Have you ever heard of Extreme Universe?
No.
Me neither. Let's not talk about it. All right, next thing is it was confirmed this week that Doctor Strange is going to appear in Thor Ragnarok.
Okay. It makes sense.
It does, but at the same time it doesn't.
I know what you mean.
So spoilers for Doctor Strange, I guess. It was the first mid credits. Yeah, it was the mid credits sequence.
I hate that we have to do this now. Mid credits and post credits. It used to be just post credit.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous.
But yeah, mid credits.
Thor shows up at the Sanctum Sanctorum, and he's kind of telling Doctor Strange about what happened.
Basically, the events of like Thor: The Dark World, and like why he's here and why Loki's on Earth as well.
Yeah. And then Doctor Strange is like, okay, well, let's go get this taken care of because I don't want you on Midgard/Earth.
More than just
Yeah. And so I just thought that was like a teaser for Thor coming out because even though we've got Guardians and Spider-Man coming out before then, Thor is the next Avenger to get his own solo movie. And so I just thought that was just like a little recap / teaser for Thor. Right. I didn't really even occur to me that Doctor Strange might show up in this movie, but it kind of does make sense at the same time. He deals with all these magical things, and Thor is all about magic stuff, so it kind of makes sense. Also, we know that Hulk is going to be in Ragnarok, and Doctor Strange and the Hulk have a very long history together. So all of those things tying together, while I think they are cool, I think it's also might take away from Thor and the Ragnarok.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I hope it doesn't. I don't think it might. I don't think it would do that.
Yeah.
I see more from like, you know how in Ant-Man Falcon he makes his appearance, and he still does stuff, but he wasn't. I mean, I guess he was kind of like a major part of it, but he didn't have like a humongous role in the movie. I hope they do something like that. Like maybe he'll make like casual appearances throughout the movie, or you know, he has like his own like little like 20-minute spot in the movie where he gets to do his thing, and, like try to help out or whatever, or I don't know. I want to say that they're smart enough to do that. Hopefully, you know, I mean, there's room for mistake, but I think for the most part that they're going to be okay with the way that they do it. But I am just a little bit wary because, you know, you don't want to take away from the Heroes movie, but now that the MCU is so big, you kind of can't avoid the fact that, you know, you're going to bump into some other characters. I mean, it's like kind of saying like, okay, like the school that we used to go to, you used to go to, that I still go to, that you can't go a day on campus without saying hi to somebody. You just can't. It's like it's kind of like that. As big as the space of the MCU, it's like kind of like that. Like Thor walking down the street and like, oh, hey Cap, hey.
But also just to kind of play devil's advocate here a little bit, the other two Thor movies have been pretty unmemorable. You know, the first Thor it's okay. It's not the best Marvel movie. And then Thor 2 is unmemorable at best. You can make an argument that it's a pretty not good movie.
I'll have to see it. Still have to see it.
But
I would be the judge of that.
But so you could make the argument that bringing in these other two characters might give it a new angle, a new, just like a shot of fresh blood that it might need to make it a more compelling movie.
Right.
So, you know, we'll see.
Yeah. I do hope the picture of, you know, refilling beer kind of comes back. That was pretty cool. Can you imagine that in real life?
That'd be pretty rad.
We would get so fat though, like, let's be real, man.
Okay, hey, speaking of Doctor Strange, Ancestry.com this week.
We're going to talk about this, I know.
Well, not this week, at some point previously.
Yeah.
I
was really, really shocked to hear this.
Yeah. They uncovered or like released this information that Benedict Cumberbatch, who of course plays Doctor Strange and Khan and
Smaug.
Yes. Basically, he just does a bunch of nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
But most relevantly for this tip is that he plays Sherlock Holmes on the BBC program Sherlock. And they found out that he is distantly related to the author of the original Sherlock Holmes stories, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Specifically, they are 16th cousins twice removed.
Which still, though, I mean, like, that's awesome, man. Like, that's... It's like he was destined.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that.
It's all elementary.
It's like in Futurama, how Fry and Professor Farnsworth are
oh, yeah.
super distantly related.
I really like because, like, Fry is his grandfather, right? Or his uncle? Or
the uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
though, like, Farnsworth is really, really old. They don't really, like...
He's 160.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Okay, anyway, next thing here is that there was a very, very short-lived rumor that Deadpool was going to appear in Logan, which was quickly shot down. I'm not sure who deconfirmed it, but I'm talking like in a matter of hours. This rumor came out, and then they said, no, just kidding, it's not going to happen. Now, I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, me too.
Logan, from everything that we've seen so far, looks to be a really serious movie. And Deadpool is the exact opposite of serious. So while I'm sure Fox wants to pimp out their brands by bringing in this new popular character to play a role in this old popular character who's like on his way out. Well, I'm sure they want to do that. I don't think it would fit with the tone of the movie at all. You know, like Deadpool has his serious moments. Don't get me wrong, but you know there would have to be some jokes, and you know the Logan needs to have some comedic relief as well. It's just I just couldn't see that meshing with everything that we've seen so far.
I did see rumors though that Hugh Jackman, he's not entirely against mixing Logan and Deadpool together. Like it was just rumors, but that he was open to the idea of like having his own little like spin-off thing.
I would like to see that, just not for Logan.
Yeah, I agree. Because like what we've seen with Logan, like the way he's been like butchering guys, and all of a sudden like this big red man just comes out.
Well, not even that part. I mean, because Deadpool is super violent.
No, yeah, I agree. But just like because you know, like he's gonna make jokes, while
right?
He's
No, I mean, I just
like you remember like the scene where he's looking for Francis, and
at the beginning.
No, it's like after he gets his suit.
Okay.
Oh yeah. And then he starts like just asking like, "Where's Francis?" or "Tell me where he is." And at one point he starts speaking in Spanish with it. Like that would happen, and you know, like he would match like the gritty violence of it, but you know, just you would want to keep a certain tone to the movie, and I feel like Deadpool would like, for the most part, he would take it out.
Yeah. I just mean the part about Logan taking care of X-23 and the professor is like about to die. Just all of that, throwing Deadpool into that mix just seems like a bad idea.
Messes up with the mojo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
All right. Next news item here. Have you ever seen the movie Dune?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I have. That is a really bad movie.
Okay.
I can't recommend it at all.
In good conscience.
Yeah. But from what I remember about it, it's about this desert planet that people live on because there's this magical drug that gives you like telepathy and makes you like clairvoyant and like heals you. I don't. It does. It had like a whole list of like magical properties.
All right, BioShock.
But they call this magical drug spice. And so spice is like found on this planet. You like mine it or something. There's this giant sandworm. Did you ever watch NCIS LA?
A couple of times.
Okay. Do you remember the director, the really short lady?
Yes.
She's in that movie.
Okay.
Did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
A couple of times.
Do you know the captain?
Barely. I know who you're talking about. Just very barely.
Okay. What else was he in? Have you ever seen American Beauty?
No.
Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen Sex and the City?
No.
Okay, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Anyway,
at least you tried.
That guy's in that movie.
Okay.
Oh wait, actually, I just mixed up two different actors. The guy from American Beauty is somebody else. They just look similar. Anyway, it's just a really weird, bad sci-fi movie. Anyway, it's getting a remake.
Of course it is.
So that's cool. You know, I'm okay with this because the effects in that movie were really bad, and so some technology might do them some benefit.
I'll see.
Yeah, that's all I gotta say. So look out for that. Next thing, it was announced this week that Forrest Whitaker is going to be voicing a character on Star Wars Rebels, namely Saw Gerrera, whom he played in the most recent Star Wars film, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Now, I think this is a terrible idea. Because I forgot to say this when we talked about Rogue One, I could not understand what he was saying at all. It was really bad. So either he needs to tone it down for the movie, which is possible because if I'm not sure exactly when Rebels takes place. Do you know?
Yeah, actually I do. It takes should I remember correctly? It takes I can't give you a specific timeline, but it's before like any point when Luke joins up with the rebellion and he finds out he's a Jedi. So it's at least a good, I want to say, maybe 10 years max, I'd say.
Okay.
So it's a significant amount of time.
All right.
Because Leia, she makes an appearance in Rebels, not quite full, like, adult Leia yet. And some characters come up, so they're still around during that time.
Okay. Well, anyway, so in Rogue One, Saw Gerrera has been like he's an android basically.
Yeah.
Like he's
also really old too.
Or not an android, a cyborg.
Yeah.
Very old. He's like on his last leg. Like he's on a respirator. He's just in really bad shape health wise. So maybe they could make up some story reason for why that made him so hard to understand because he like has robotic lungs. Just I don't know.
Well, yeah, because like I told you like I saw the movie 2 more times in theaters. So he makes it's very small, but when Jin's mother talks to him, when Krennic he's coming onto the planet, he talks when she contacts him, and it's much more easy to understand him whenever it's like he's talking intercom. So like you know what to do. You just have to hide. And then when Jin's hiding, where she is, and he finds her, you can understand him much more easier. So that's the same voice that he has in Rebels, because the trailer for that came out. So I watched that. I'm like, okay, so it's not like like when he's talking all hoarsely and it's like, you save the rebellion, save the dream.
Which he doesn't say that in the movie, right?
He does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I know there were lines in the trailer that he doesn't end up saying in the movie. Like
yes, some of them, yeah.
Yeah.
When it talks about like
what will you become? That
if they catch you, like, what will you become?
That's beside the point.
I know what you mean. Like at first, I was like, when I first heard him was when he first comes on and he interrogates Bodhi.
Yeah,
and I was like, what is going on? What is he saying? But then I'm like, it's an actor choice, and I realized that actors are weird people, and they just like they do what they feel is called to them, and then. You just see, and for the character of Saw, I'm saying like for the character, maybe as a whole it didn't work, but I think for the character of Saw, it actually worked out a lot well because it showed him like as kind of crazy.
Yeah,
he's old, he's kind of senile, but at the same time like there's still like an old wisdom to him. So I think in the end I was okay with it. It was hard for me to understand sometimes, so I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't by the third time I saw this movie that I can like fully understand it. Every time he talks when I say so, when he's speaking, like, okay, I know what he's trying to tell me.
Yeah. Other than that, I just like I don't have a problem with it. But I also don't think they really need to spend their budget on getting a big name like Forrest Whitaker just for this consistency because Saw Gerrera has been on. It was the Clone Wars that he first appeared in. So he was in that, not voiced by Forrest Whitaker. So it just, again, like it's not that big of a deal. I just don't think they need to go out of their way to be that authentic to the movie or whatever.
True, but a lot of times they actually get the actors to come on and to voice the character. So I think it's like just like kind of like maybe a nerdy part on their part. It's like, if we can get like it'd be so awesome to get this person to come and voice their character.
Yeah,
because James Earl Jones, he does it for Darth Vader. And in the original Clone War movie, they had Sir Christopher Lee come to voice Count Dooku. They had Samuel L. Jackson come to voice Mace Windu. So just little cameos in and out like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know why, but for some reason, for a second, I got Mace Windu and Darth Maul confused.
Oh, okay.
All right, next news item here is that they announced the voice cast for the upcoming reboot of DuckTales.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
So let's talk about DuckTales really quickly because surprisingly, I think it's come up a few times, so we never really talked about it too much. So DuckTales is about Scrooge McDuck, his pilot, Launchpad McQuack, and most importantly, well, maybe not most importantly, his 3 grand nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie Duck, the nephews of Donald Duck. Where their parents, I don't know. There's also Webigail, the butler, I don't remember his name. So Scrooge McDuck, he's super rich. We talked about that before on a long ago Fanfic Fights. And he uses his wealth to fund expeditions to find even more treasure. That's what the majority of the show is about. They're like globe-trotting. There's time travel. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. There's like 100-something episodes. Seen all of them. They're pretty good. It's not the greatest cartoon ever, but it's definitely enjoyable. But for whatever reason, they decided to reboot. I don't know if it was like a reboot or what they're labeling it as exactly, but that's besides the point. So anyway, voice cast here. Voicing Donald Duck is Tony Anselmo. He doesn't have a picture on IMDb, so I'm guessing he's not a very well-known actor, so good for him for getting such a big role. Launchpad is being voiced by Beck Bennett, who is, he's a Saturday Night Live cast member, so that's cool. Webigail is being voiced by Kate Micucci, and I know her from stuff, I just don't know, like, her biggest role. She was on this show called Raising Hope. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I've seen a couple episodes, yeah.
She was on that. She was on Scrubs for a few episodes. I remember that. She just does like stand-up musical comedy, I think, is her thing. Okay, I actually didn't know this.
Yeah.
Okay, so Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Huey is voiced by Danny Pudi.
Yeah.
Who we talked about, like 2 episodes ago? Yeah, because he's on Powerless. Mm-hmm. He is Abed from Community. And then Louie is voiced by Bobby Moynihan, who's also from Saturday Night Live. And then Dewey is voiced by Ben Schwartz, who is, of course, John Ralphio.
Really? Oh. Whenever I hear a John Ralphio name, I need to say it like the way that Tom says, like, Jean Ralphio. I don't know, just the way, I don't know, because it's Jean Ralphio.
Yeah. And then last but not least, one more person. Mrs. Beakley, who's the maid, and Webigail's grandmother, I think. She's being voiced by an actress named Tox Olugundoyi. Something like that. Let's see. She's Nigerian. She was on The Neighbors, Castle, Brown Sugar, Paranormal Action Squad. She was on Vixen, the CW Seed cartoon. She's on Steven Universe, The Fosters, a bunch of stuff I don't really care about. Yeah. Okay, and then last but not least, Scrooge McDuck is being voiced by David Tennant.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
David Tennant, Kilgrave, the 10th Doctor, Bartemius Crouch Jr., a few other things. But yeah, that's... I love David Tennant. He's an amazing actor.
He's really good.
The thing is that Scrooge McDuck is Scottish, and David Tennant is British. So I hope he's got a good Scottish accent. I bet he does, like, just because he's that good of an actor, and British people are generally better at
accents.
UK accents than Americans are, but yeah, I just hope he brings his A game, but I have confidence that he will. So anyway, that should be interesting. I was thinking about having three such different actors to play the trio of kids, because they have very, very different personalities and voices. But ultimately, I think that's probably a good thing, because I watched DuckTales when I was at work, and so I was, I was doing my work, and then on my second computer screen, in the corner of my eye, I was watching DuckTales, and it's very, the three kids, they sound basically the same, and so I could never really tell who was who or who was doing what. So I think having three distinct voices is probably a good thing in the long run. So yeah.
If somebody's gonna, like, when this thing gets released, somebody's gonna dub it with John Ralphio's voice.
What makes you think he's not gonna do John Ralphio's voice?
Huh?
What makes you think?
Oh gosh, I don't know, because because he made some of the noises for BB-8 in Force Awakens.
I think I did know that.
Yeah, and then so somebody, like, on the internet took John Ralphio's lines from Parks and Recreation, and then they added it to BB-8 in The Force Awakens, and it was actually pretty funny.
That's too good. Okay, next. Okay, so actually, last news item is Now, I saw this on Facebook today, and I didn't do any more research into it, so hopefully this is not false information, but we're going to talk about it anyway, is that the CW is moving forward with a reboot of the TV show Charmed. You never heard of Charmed?
I've never heard of Charmed.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So Charmed was about three sisters who are witches,
Okay.
and basically they have the power of three, and they are like the ultimate force to fight evil. Basically, as long as
Powerpuff Girls.
yeah, kind of, yeah. Basically, as long as the three of them like work together and like are united, yeah, they can overcome anything. Okay, look, I know that makes it sound really cheesy, but it was a good show. I've seen most of the episodes. It's kind of a cult classic almost. I'm not sure how popular it ever got, but yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I don't think a reboot is really necessary.
Oh, this show. I saw like maybe 2 episodes.
But you know, if it looks promising, I'll probably check it out. If this is even real, hopefully whoever posted this on my cousin's Facebook timeline is right. Okay, one more thing that I want to talk about before we move into our feature topic is I watched a movie over the break that I had more to say about it than I could fit into a tweet, and so I thought this would be a good place to do it.
All right.
I watched a movie called They Live. Have
Okay.
you ever heard of this movie?
I don't think so.
Okay. Have you ever heard the line, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum,
Yes.
and I'm all out of bubblegum? This is where that line originated from. It was
Okay.
actually an improv line, which is, I always like improv lines, especially when they become like super like popular, like that one. But yeah, so the concept behind this movie is that aliens have invaded Earth without anybody knowing it. Like, they are disguised as humans, and they have replaced. They have taken over like key government positions, and they use subliminal messaging and advertising. Like, every billboard, every like magazine article, every TV commercial, everything is subliminal message to keep the human race subservient to their whims, and there is this like underground faction, like a resistance force, who are resisting against this alien threat, invasion, whatever. And so they have these sunglasses that when you wear them, you can see the true identity of the aliens, and you can see the subliminal messages. So basically, like, if you're driving down the street and you see a billboard for like Coke, if you put on the glasses, you'll see it would look like a giant white billboard with just a single word like obey or like consume or whatever. So the glasses allow you to see that. So the main character, I forget his name already, he stumbles upon these glasses. He sees these aliens. He's freaking out. He decides that he needs to start killing them and save humanity. He joins up with the resistance force, and they try to knock out a TV dish that is broadcasting this signal that is cloaking their true identities. So basically, if he knocks out the signal, then everyone will be able to see them without the glasses. And I'll just leave it at that. I won't spoil how it ends, even though I went into pretty good detail right there. But also, in Community, the professor who he does like computer programming,
I'm pretty sure I do.
he's got like the super deep booming voice.
Yes.
Yeah, he's in that movie too.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Anyway, so this movie was bad. It was just bad. But I really liked the concept. Like, the premise was good. They just executed it very poorly. I really disliked the ending. I could have used like another 5, 10, 15 minutes to see what happened after that. But, what's done is done. So I think that this this is a prime candidate to get a modern day adaptation with better visuals, some better writing, some just it just needs a modern twist.
Like we just said, fresh blood to pump through.
Yeah. It's that's all I gotta say. All right, well, now we're going to do our feature topic for the week. And this week we're going to do a new top 5. Now, I know that we did a top 5 in episode 38. I know it hasn't been very long, but it's been a while since we recorded, so I felt like it was okay. Plus, it seemed very timely with it being the new year that we're going to talk about our top 5 movies that came out, our top 5 favorite movies that came out in 2016. Now, I'm going to just put this out here that this is our personal movies that we enjoyed the most. This is not the objectively best movies that came out. I'll just say right now that we are going to be doing an Oscars prediction special after we get the announcement of the nominees. So we'll be talking about that in great detail when that happens. But this is just movies that came out this year that we thought were really fun, really enjoyable. So, yeah, Brandon, I'll let you go first.
Cool. So, Alex and I, as usual, had some overlap with our list. So, I'm going to start off with one that wasn't on his list.
Oh, changing it up.
Yeah, right? And my first one I'm going to go with is The Witch, or as how Alex likes to call it, The Vivitch. Now, this movie was pretty interesting to watch. I saw it when I was in Austin with Michael and Emily, and we saw it with her sister. And I'm not gonna lie, like when we were in the movie theater, this movie scared the crap out of me. And when I watched it the second time, it was pretty recently. It was back in October, I believe, when Robin and I went to College Station to visit Abby, and I was watching it again, and I thought, like, this movie wasn't really that scary. But
really?
Yeah, but the premise is really interesting because it takes place in 1600s New England. This family gets banished from a settlement because they're preaching something different than their version of Christianity that they're preaching over there, because obviously they're Puritans, but the way that they were interpreting the gospel was different. So this man takes his family, he goes out to the wilderness, to the frontier, and he makes his own life. He makes his own cabin, he farms his own crops, and he tries to make a living, and he wants to live the word of God as how he sees fit.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like, like a really weird, like, kind of strange premise to do off like a horror kind
right.
of.
Well,
yeah. So, and so after that, like, things start happening around the homestead. This witch starts to torment them. It steals away a baby, and then the family believes that they're cursed. And then on and on throughout the course of the film, you see how things kind of unravel. Now, I think what was really interesting about this movie was that it genuinely scared me when I watched this in the theater. Maybe because, like, I'm more...
It's always scarier in the theater.
Yeah,
for some reason.
in the theater... Maybe because it's like that experience you get when you're in the theater, and it's like it's such a different feeling when you're watching it on a small screen.
I think it's the sound more than anything.
And I was gonna say that too. Like, the sound is, oh my gosh! Like, I think that thing was definitely the thing that like helped increase it, because when you see the image, like, it can be creepy enough, but if you close your like cover your ears and you can like handle it to a degree, but when you add in the sound, it just strikes an inner chord with you that you just can't fight off real well. So I'm gonna say that this film did an incredible job with like atmosphere. Everything was very, very authentic. Even the way that these people spoke, you could have believed it was back during that time period. And what I liked about it was that it wasn't like a straight up horror film. Like, I wouldn't recommend this movie if you want to have like a good scare all of a sudden, or you just want to watch like a gory slasher film or whatever, or you want to see like demons coming out. There are supernatural elements to it, but it's definitely more of an artsy kind of film.
Okay.
expect this to be the next Exorcist or anything like that. But it was a really, really well done movie, and I think just everything from cinematography to the way that portrayals were done, because the actors and actresses who did this were very, very good. And I liked how it was still a very much of a human story that you could in some ways kind of relate to, but at the end, like, you're kind of glad that you don't live in the 1600s in Puritan New England, because you realize that everything I do is pretty much a sin, and I'm that's no fun. But no, The Witch was really, really, really good, and I think this is the first horror movie or scary movie I've seen in theaters. So I was, the whole time I was gripping my seat, kind of like biting my finger, I was like, this isn't that scary, but like, why am I getting freaked out? And there were moments when I'm looking at Emily's sister, and she's like, yeah, like this.
Oh, you should have held her hand.
Dude, that's so weird. What the hell? What? Why would you say that?
She was probably more scared than you were, Brandon. She needed someone there for her.
Nah, man. I was terrified. But yeah, this movie definitely like made 2016 for me.
Right on.
What about you?
Okay, so the first one that I'm going to talk about is Arrival.
Okay. A movie I really, really want to see.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. And usually I'm not one to say like you have to see this in theaters. I can think of very few movies where I would say that being in the theater like really, really enhances the experience.
Right.
But I feel like Arrival is probably one of those. So this is a sci-fi movie, but again, it's more on like the artsy side of sci-fi. It's not like running and gunning and all of that kind of stuff. So the premise behind Arrival is that these 16, or maybe it's 12, space vessels. I forget what they have. They have a name for them in the movie. I don't remember. But these vessels arrive on Earth on all these random spots. Like normally in alien invasion movies, they land like they come to New York and they come to London and they come to like Moscow, like the big cities,
or
right?
They go to like the landmarks, like in Independence Day.
Yeah. But in this movie, it's actually the opposite. Like one of them is like over the middle of the Pacific Ocean. One of the one in the United States comes to like I think it was like Montana. Basically, just they all land in the middle of nowhere with seemingly no pattern. And once,
ooh, you think they made up a Courage the Cowardly Dog? Just saying, in the middle of nowhere.
And once every certain time period, the ship will open and you can go up inside of it. And they communicate with the aliens inside. The aliens have a way of communicating, but the humans don't know how to interpret what they're saying. Forrest Whitaker, again, he recruits a linguist, Amy Adams, to come and like try and figure out this alien language. And she does. She shows up and she's trying to work through what's happening, and basically lots of stuff happens. I don't want to say any more than that because I don't want to give it away, and I really think everybody should see this movie. It is a very, again, like it's not a flashy movie. It's as far as sci-fi goes, like there's not a lot of CG work in there. But it's, again, like the ambiance is very, like the tone is all so serious and just really like gripping, and you're always wondering what's gonna happen next and how it's gonna work out. And yeah, it was a really good movie. I don't think I did a very good job of selling it, but
I'd still watch it.
Yeah,
I'd watch it.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm excited. I'm probably gonna try and make my way to the movies on Tuesday, like in the middle of the day, like around like noon. So like when everybody's at lunchtime, I'm just gonna be like bumming out in the theater. So I'm gonna try and see if I can watch like maybe 3 or 4 movies that day, because I have job training the next day, so I'm just want to get like just squeeze out the last remaining moments of my break. So next on my list is another one that I'm pretty sure that Alex doesn't have on his list, and that is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
No,
Now,
I
I
don't
know
have
he
that.
was very like, about this movie. I saw this movie, and I was actually very surprised of how good it was.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to say it's the perfect movie. And, the Harry Potter movies are, in and of themselves, their own thing, and I think they're their own masterpiece. Alex disagrees, but that's, well, whatever. I was surprised by this movie because I went in, I don't want to say that I went in with low expectations, but I went in with just saying like, okay, if it sucks, it sucks. If it's good, it's good, and I'll be happy. Like either way, my soul won't be crushed. And I came out of this movie saying like, wow, this is actually really well done. What I was surprised about is that how well that they integrated a new chapter in the Wizarding world. And I know like a lot of people were saying like, how can you have a Harry Potter movie without Harry Potter? Well, it's not a Harry Potter movie. It's its own thing. It takes place in the Wizarding world. Yeah, there are elements that connect from parts of Harry Potter. Like, they mentioned Hogwarts a couple of times. They mentioned some creatures. That's kind of really about where it all ends.
Well, they talk about Dumbledore. They talk
He mentioned
about...
that. I mean, it's not really a spoiler. Like they mentioned it because Newt he was expelled from Hogwarts due to an accident.
What?
I know, right? And Dumbledore fought for him to remain at Hogwarts, but that didn't work out. But I was really surprised that this movie really made me, I guess, care about the characters because maybe during the first 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, these are just gonna be like one-time characters. Don't really need to care too much about them. And I think it was both the portrayal of the actors and just the way that the plot was set up that I really, really grew to actually really enjoy these characters. I enjoyed Nude. I enjoyed Queenie. I enjoyed what was her name? Like Tina. Yeah, I was it Tina. Sorry.
No, her name is Tina.
Like her has a little bit before it, but yeah, her name is Tina. I'm sorry, I was watching Bob's Burgers before this, so Tina was just like, oh my mind. And then I enjoyed Jacob too. He was really, really cool and really funny, and I love just everything had like a magical twist to it, but then you could still like believe this was set in the 1920s. And I don't know. I honestly felt like I was taken back to the Wizarding world. I was so happy whenever I was watching it, and you really got this great sense of magic for me. But I'm kind of a wishy-washy person when it comes to movies and stuff like that. But some people have their problems, but for me, I really, really enjoyed this movie.
All right, and this is your list, so I'm not gonna rag on it, but it's not the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It just wasn't for me. But
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna see all the rest of them because I'm a sucker. So
Yeah, it's kind of how it works.
yeah. Okay. All right. Another one that you don't have on your list: 10 Cloverfield Lane. So, have you ever seen Cloverfield?
I have not actually.
Okay. It's pretty boring. It's I don't really like it. It's also got bad shaky cam, like really bad shaky cam.
To be fair though, I think this is like back during time when shaky cam was still kind of acceptable.
I'm so glad it's not
I know,
anymore.
right?
Shaky cam is the worst. For any aspiring directors out there
Don't
who,
do shaky
yeah,
cam.
please don't. But anyway, so 10 Cloverfield Lane is supposedly set in the same universe, very, very loosely. But it takes this girl, Ramona Flowers. That's not really her name. That's the actress who plays that character in Scott Pilgrim versus the World, not Scott Pilgrim against the World. But anyway, so she gets in a car crash and she winds up in this underground bunker. Who with this crazy survivalist dude played by John Goodman, and turns out that the world ended and she was unconscious, and she's like freaking out because she thinks this guy's just crazy, but then she tries to get up to the surface, and as soon as she gets there, this lady comes out who's like horribly sick, and she's trying to get inside the bunker, and it's really creepy. So the movie is just her trying to accept this reality and try and cope with the circumstances that she finds herself in, which are really, really bad and really kind of scary. I don't know what genre to call this movie. It's got like some thriller, suspense kind of elements, but it's not really that suspenseful. It's not like a horror movie. It's not like an action movie. It's not like a mystery. It's this really weird kind of mix of genres that don't, and it ends up not fitting into any one place very well. But it's good. It's you really get invested in her character, and you really want to know what's happening on the outside, and you just don't know because you only know what she knows. And yeah, it's good. So if you haven't seen Cloverfield, if you are turned off by Shaky Cam, you should watch this movie anyway. They all have almost nothing to do with each other.
Right on. Let's see. For me, my next one. So, I would have to go with probably Deadpool. Now, Deadpool has been one of my favorite comic book characters for a while. I followed him before he got kind of like mega popular. I know.
You're such a hipster.
I've always tried to do that. You know, I was cool. I knew Deadpool before. It was cool. And when, Marvel movies began to take flight and soar in popularity, and a lot of people were like, I want to see a Deadpool movie. And then X-Men Origins came out. And it was X-Men Origins, right?
Yeah.
And then, they try to bring in Wade Wilson into that. Notice I say Wade Wilson and not Deadpool. And, they try to take a creative approach to that.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah, it didn't really turn out too well, did it? Got a lot of almost universal backlash from that. So as a result, any ideas with Deadpool was kind of put on the DL. And I feel like that kind of left a mark with Ryan Reynolds, because he had that, and then he had Green Lantern, and he felt like he was probably failing the superhero community, and so like, I have to do something to really, really make my mark. And I guess maybe he really felt something that he connected with Deadpool. And I know, like, he personally himself, he pushed for this project. He spent a lot of time, a lot of money getting things done for this. It took years and years and years, and it got to the point where people were like, whenever they said, I hope we get a Deadpool movie, or I want to get a Deadpool movie, it was more of like kind of half-hearted hopes. They weren't really having anything. They didn't really have anything too solid to put their hopes in. And then all of a sudden, like, we get confirmation, yeah, Deadpool is happening, and it's happening and coming out this time. And then people were like, what? Are you serious? And yeah, it came out, and it came out to really, really good reviews and stuff. And I have to admit, like, I was kind of going in thinking like, okay, I'm excited. I'm happy that Deadpool came out, but I'm gonna kind of expect what's going on, because you can expect, bad language, ultra violence, maybe breaking the fourth wall. I know what to expect, and that's kind of like the mindset every time I have when I read a Deadpool comic. But no matter what happens, I always like find something to bust out laughing. And sure enough, yeah, I found plenty of things to laugh at. Some parts were funnier than others, but definitely, like, there were times where I was like kind of like choking on my spit, because I'm like, oh god, I can't believe I'm laughing at this. And a lot of things they did well with this movie. Casting was really good, CGI was really good. It's a pretty simple cut and paste storyline, but I think for the establishment of Deadpool, it was more about his character than anything. I think it did a really, really good job of that. And the reason I put it, on my list is just because I've been waiting for this movie, and I'm just, knowing like all the struggle that they went to making this movie, I feel like it deserves like some place on my list.
Yeah. This would have made it onto my list if it wasn't on Brandon's. I just left it off just for the sake of
diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie was really good, super super funny. A lot of great action. Ryan Reynolds is just like, he knocks it out of the park.
He does.
I haven't seen X-Men Origins, but I think it makes up for that travesty.
Yeah, I think like people have forgiven him at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so my third movie is Moana.
real quick thing I want to say this movie. I saw 20 minutes of this movie just because like I took my brother to movie theaters.
Was it like the beginning or?
It got to the part where like she was about to go on her adventure, and I'm like, oh, and like I could tell because I took my brother to go see Rogue One again because he really wanted to see it, and we're like, we need something to like just use up our time. So we went to go see Moana a little bit, and both of us really liked it. And I'm like, hey, we have to go watch Rogue One. He's like, I don't really wanna, but he's like, yeah, I kind of want to watch Rogue One again. And this movie, like, only 20 minutes in, but I loved this movie.
Yeah. So Moana, we've talked about it a lot on the podcast, and
mostly about Maui.
Yeah. And did you see that thing from MRL?
Yeah.
So weird. Anyway, so Moana is the princess of an island. She's supposed to be the next leader. Basically, bad things are happening in nature, and she leaves the island, which is forbidden, to go find out the problem. And she meets up with this demigod named Maui, who's basically just a fat version of The Rock.
I won't say fat. He's like...
He's pretty fat.
He's husky.
Okay.
Man,
whatever.
Pacific Islander people are like big, man. You ever seen them?
Yeah.
That's why so many of them play like football.
Okay. You made me look through this. Oh, anyway, I just feel like if in real life The Rock's personality is a lot like Maui.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she meets up with Maui and they go off to try and find out what the cause of this problem. And what makes this movie so great is it just visually looks amazing. Like there's on the island, like there's all of these lush green colors and flowers and trees and everything that just look really nice. But the majority of the movie is out on the water, and the water just looks like I just want to go for a swim.
When Moana was a really small child, and like she first like has an encounter with the water, I love the way that they made just the water like. Yeah, they did such a good job of it. She just does her water bending thing. Yeah. It just looks beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah. So visually, it looks great. There's really, really great music. Like it gets stuck in your head. And the story's not it's not perfect, but I liked it a lot. I thought it was good. There's I don't know if I should say this, but there's a bit of a twist that I didn't see coming, so that was pretty cool. Well, I didn't see it coming until like right before it happened. But yeah, I liked it a lot.
You want to know a fun fact? Tamara Morrison, voice of the Clone Troopers and Jango Fett, he's in this movie.
Really?
He's the chief Moana's
okay. You know what? That makes a lot of sense.
Like when I first heard it, I'm like, is that who I think it is? And then like, I hear more and like that's Jango Fett. That's him talking right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. It's like that when we were talking about our voice actor thing, like you could just pick up on certain cues and like the way they talk.
Yeah.
So that was like a cool little thing that I had. So I really want to finish this movie.
Yeah. It's I think it's better than Frozen. Most people would say like Frozen is probably the best recent Disney movie.
Still gotta watch Frozen.
I guess.
At some point.
But yeah, Moana, go see it. And then I believe that the next two movies are on both of our lists.
Yes. Okay. So which one do you want to start off with?
Let's talk about Rogue One, just because I don't know what else we can really say about it that we haven't said already.
Yeah, to be fair though, we talked about both these movies though.
True.
So yeah, Rogue One. I mean, are you really surprised? It's on our list.
Yeah. It's man, that movie. I still haven't had a chance to go back and see it in theaters, but like the more I think about it, like I think this might be my favorite Star Wars movie.
It's definitely up there for me. Like, watching it the third time, like it's bad because like now I know like what every line is and I know what's happening, but I still get entertained because like just watching how the actors interact or just like seeing the sets or watching how everything kind of harkens back to the original trilogy, but it still has a modern feel to it. It's just such a great feel to it. And like we said, this movie it has its like flaws and mistakes, but overall it's a really, really good movie, and it did so much right in this movie. And I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, for sure. I've been here listening and reading people's reviews, and I've actually been surprised about how much negativity there's been.
Me too, yeah.
I haven't heard anybody say like this is a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Like this movie shouldn't have been made. But I've heard people try to say like this. Like, so there's this other podcast I listen to that's called This Nintendo Life, but they did a special Star Wars episode. And towards the end of their review, they said, okay, so if you're going to sit someone down who's never seen Star Wars before and show them all the movies, do you include this or not? And one of them said yes, and one of them was kind of unsure about how or whether or not to see it or show it. And I was just like floored. I'm like, why would you not show somebody this movie? Now, granted, do you show it to them before showing them episode 4 or not? Because I feel like there's like pros and cons to both sides.
Yeah.
So we're not going to go into that much detail, but just like I don't understand it because I thought it was so good.
Me too.
It made A New Hope feel so much more special,
and it feels like so much more complete now.
Yeah.
Like you understand the gravity of why and how these plans were taken, and like what's at stake here. It's not just a simple like we go fight the bad guys and that's it. Like you understand like a lot of what's sacrificed to get to this point of where they are, and even still like that doesn't mean that they're going to achieve victory. It's still a lot.
Yeah.
And can we talk about spoiler real quick?
Sure.
We never talked about the fact that Galen's trap for the Death Star when we did our review.
Is that really a spoiler? I guess kind of.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, like they kind of like we never like touched upon that, like, but like the fact that there's a reason why. There's like this big thingy-majiggy that can destroy the Death Star in like one hit, and I think that was a really good like loose end for them to tie up because like it's been like an ongoing joke for years now at this point. And now they did a good job of saying like so there's a reason why this is here, and it's because the person who helped make the Death Star didn't want to make this thing, so instead of like fully going on with this ultimate evil for the universe, he finds a way to try and maybe stop it. And I mean like he gives up his life in the middle of it, but now it's become like one of like the aha moments of the film. Like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just loved everything about this movie, and when I saw it by the third time, I still love like the people of Rogue One. I still wish we had like a little bit more time to like get to know them, but I mean, by the third act, you're like, I like you guys. Like, I want you to stick around.
Okay, then our final movie for our top 5 is Captain America: Civil War. So this is another, I think, pretty divisive movie. I've heard a lot of people say like it's not that great, and yeah, I mean it's got its flaws. Like when we talked about it, I certainly
you were that person.
Yeah,
like,
no, I had my fair share of things to say that were not great about it. But
at the same time, like you said, like like there were moments where I really thoroughly enjoyed.
No, yeah, overall I thought it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it.
One thing I have to say that Marvel does a really good job of is building up to certain events or plots. I think they did a good job of the Avengers. They did a good job building up to that. And, like some people might disagree with Age of Ultron, but I think they did a good job of, like, getting to the point of a new Avengers movie. Yeah. So when it came time for Civil War, I mean, people knew, like, from the right off the bat when Iron Man and Captain America interacted, they knew, like, the tension between the two, that something was going to happen out of it. And, I think, the hype was there, and like, people got excited for this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, flashy. It's got big, loud action scenes, and I can see why that would turn people off. But you know what? I don't care. I had a really good time watching it. I thought that airport scene was just
it has to
off
be
the wall.
One of the best like superhero fights I've ever seen.
Yeah, because it was just so large scale, and like the Battle of New York in the Avengers is is really good. Like because it goes on for so long and sprawls all over the city, and you get to see the Hulk punch the giant whale fish thing, and you get to see the Tale of Jonah, except with Iron Man. And it's like it's all that's all really really cool to watch. But this is just so much more punchy and like fast and quick, and you get to see these heroes who you don't get to see fight. You get to see them fight and be like, oh, who would win in a fight between this guy and this guy? Well,
and
it
then
turns out
you see like most of like 3 times out of 4 it's Black Panther who wins.
It's good.
And they did a great job setting up for like other characters as well. I'm very happy about that.
My big complaint just to talk about one negative, is that none of it even matters because we know they're all going to be back for Infinity War, just because, while they may have their differences, they're always going to unite against a greater threat. And while that does kind of make the point of Civil War seem less impactful, you know what? Who cares? Like, we still got that awesome fight scene.
And I like it because I feel like at moments it was a very personal movie. Like, kind of people come into grips like, what is there to believe with this and what to believe with that. And, they did a great job. And, I'm so like, the big thing I take from this movie is, like, I'm so excited to see Black Panther again. Like, I cannot wait for him to come back on screen and just kick ass.
Yeah.
And just tell people to, I was going to say one of his lines, like, move, or I won't ask the second time or whatever, but I was originally gonna say, like, I'm the captain now, but it doesn't I don't know if it would, like, fit into Joe properly, but I'm done talking.
Okay, let's see, I've got a few honorable mentions here. I don't know if you have any. All right, Zootopia came out this year, surprisingly.
Actually, I thought it came out like maybe a year ago or something like this, so I guess it was a year ago, but like 2 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was so like impressed with Zootopia.
Yeah.
The only reason I watched it because like Kevin was spending the night in my room. Like, let's watch Zootopia. I'm like, I guess so. And like maybe by 10 minutes into the movie, I'm like, I love this movie. You can make the argument that they have like talking animals. That's already like, that's like it's
90% of Disney movies.
That's like an easy way to like get people to like your movie. Yeah. I mean, it's a big thing with Disney too. But then like you see like how this movie kind of goes deeper into some issues.
Like, all the ecosystems was really cool. Like the racism kind of element to it. Mm-hmm. Killer voice cast, like super good voice cast. Yeah. I really thought the plot was good.
I thought so too. I didn't know where this thing was going. I'm like, it was very, very good to see where they were going with this thing.
Okay, another one I have, Keanu.
I didn't see Keanu.
Yeah, it was. So this is a Key and Peele movie. They wrote and starred in it. I'm not sure if they directed. Basically, it's about they find this cute cat and then they lose the cat and they go on this crazy, wacky adventure to find it. It was funny, but overall I was kind of disappointed in the amount of funny I found it. That was a badly worded sentence, whatever. I just expected it to be a lot funnier because I just think they're two really, really funny dudes. And I was a little bit let down. Yeah. But overall, I thought it was funny. So, yeah. Another one, Pop Star, Never Stop Stopping.
I didn't see that.
This is the Lonely Island movie. Yeah. I love the Lonely Island. I've been a big fan of them for a really long time. And just to see them get, like, the full movie treatment was really funny, or it was really good to see them like get that. The movie itself was pretty funny overall. I'd say it was funnier than Keanu, but a lot of that just had to do with my love of the Lonely Island and what they've done over the years. There's like very few references to like some of their jokes from their songs and stuff, but it was good. I enjoyed it.
I'll have to see that one if I have time.
Yeah. Another one, Finding Dory.
Yeah. Actually, I saw this. I was surprised I ended up actually watching this.
Yeah. Movie. It's the unneeded sequel to Finding Nemo, but overall, like, it's still... I liked it, though. It lacked the amount of heart that Finding Nemo did because it was really just kind of rehashing the same thing.
I would say yes and no. I would say maybe there was a good amount of heart there still, though, because Dory was kind of the character, like, everyone's like, oh yeah, Dory, just good old Dory. Yeah. Maybe like towards the end you kind of sympathize with her a little bit more. This movie I sympathize with her a lot, and I don't know, like, it just like it kind of gave a bigger meaning to the whole family theme in Finding Nemo, Finding Dory. So I feel like the heart was still there. You can once again, the nostalgia argument is always there. You can always say that, you only like this because, like, it just kind of strikes a chord with you that, something you already did before. But I still think it did a really good job of telling the tale.
Okay. Star Trek Beyond came out 2016. My personal least favorite of the 3 Star Trek movies, or the most recent Star Trek movies. But it was fun. I thought the plot was kind of weak, and I got a little bit bored at times. But it was a good movie. It just wasn't like amazing. And then The Killing Joke came out this year or last year.
Okay.
I didn't really like this movie too much. I don't know why I put it on here. I just thought we should talk about it. I know you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they could have done a lot better with this movie, but I still liked it though. So I'm happy we had a Killing Joke movie.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last one that I had is Nerve. So this was kind of like an under the radar movie. Like I didn't really see too much promotion for it. It's about this online game where you can either watch people do these crazy dares, or you can play and do these crazy dares and get lots of money. And it's like once you start playing, you can't stop, basically. And it was.
Sounds like RuneScape.
It sounds pretty like generic, but it actually ended differently than I kind of expected. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, I mean, it could have been better. Don't get me wrong. Like I could see somebody making a similar movie and like doing better things with it. But for what it was, I thought it was good. Did you have any others that we didn't?
No. Unfortunately, I didn't watch that many movies in 2016.
Yeah,
most of them were blockbusters. So
yeah,
I feel bad to say.
Yeah, I was looking over the list of movies that came out last year, and I feel like I watched a good chunk of the ones that I was interested in, but there are also some pretty big ones that I didn't get to see. So, just add them to the list, the never-ending list, but one day, hopefully.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time we know how to like download stuff into our brains, we can just like
that'd be great.
Watch 3 movies at once. Just make it so much more easier for us.
Well, that was our top 5 favorite movies that came out in 2016. Probably not the best year in film ever.
I still think it was a pretty good.
No. I mean, I definitely enjoyed pretty much all the movies that I saw in theaters. So, anyway, we didn't get emails this week. Unfortunately, I forgot to ask, and if I don't ask, it's pretty much a guarantee I'm not going to get any. So that's on me. But if you want to send us an email, either with your top 5 movies or just questions, comments, concerns, corrections, whatever you want to send us, that email address is abcpodcast92@gmail.com, and we would really love to hear from you. So that brings us to our final segment for the week, which, of course, you should all know by now is the Kevin segment, aka Fanfic Fights. And this week is actually not going to be a fight. This is going to be a battle of who is the better butler.
Okay.
So we're going to have Alfred Pennyworth versus Edwin Jarvis.
Okay.
So, rock, paper, scissors.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
I will go with Alfred.
Of course you will. Take it away.
So Alfred Pennyworth is the loyal butler of the Wayne family. He has been with the Waynes since long before Bruce Wayne, who is Batman, spoilers, since long before Bruce was born.
I have a request.
Oh, sure. At
some point when you're making your argument, can you do Michael Caine's accent?
Okay.
Thank you.
I forget where I was. So he was with the Wayne family for a long time. Mm-hmm. He actually comes from a history of butlers, as we find out in the Batman cartoon, I believe it was. Anyway, so after the Waynes die, or Mr. and Mrs. Wayne die, spoilers, he essentially becomes all the family that Bruce has. He is there to take care of him, to raise him, to to pick him up when he falls, because why do we fall, Master Wayne? Are you not going to answer?
Oh, did you finish it? So we can get back up.
I think it's so we can learn how to get back up.
Yeah,
anyway,
same difference. This is your argument.
So Alfred has always been there for Bruce, and Alfred was the first person that Bruce told about the Batman. And Alfred has always been, he supported him out of necessity. If it was up to Alfred, there would be no Batman, because he cares about Bruce too much to see him die in costume, because inevitably that's what's going to happen. Is one day he's either going to come up against someone who he can't beat, or he's just going to get too old and not be able to to hold his own in a fight. And so despite all of his reservations, he's always there to sew up the bat suit, or to stitch up Bruce if he gets a wound, or to, make him a cup of tea, or bring him dinner when he is down in the bat cave, doing his investigations or what have you. So Alfred is just incredibly loyal, always there for Bruce no matter what he needs, even if what he needs is, to take him by the shoulders and just tell him to snap out of it, or what are you doing, or what have you.
I won't bury anymore of the Wayne family.
Yeah. And there have been so many great adaptations of Alfred over the years. Michael Caine, we said. Jeremy Irons, I think, did a good job in Batman vs. Superman. There have been a bunch of animated Alfreds who are really great. So many great Alfreds, so little time. But, Alfred, he's a good guy.
Now, this one is really hard for me to do because I love Alfred so much. I really do. But as fate would have it, I would have to argue against him because that's just the way that my life is. So 2017 is already going up to a great start.
Gosh.
But hey, I have love for Jarvis too. So Edwin Jarvis. He is the trusted butler of billionaire, philanthropist, playboy, I've got it out, it's a genius, Tony Stark. And he's actually been with the family for quite a while. And much like Bruce, he's been a parental figure and a source of guidance and wisdom for Tony. Because Tony did not have the best relationship with his parents. His mother, he got along well enough. But his father, he had a really, really strained relationship with his father. And, even though we're talking about human Jarvis, I think what Tony says in Iron Man 2 sums it up pretty well. Like, he was cold. He said his dad was cold. Whenever he wanted something, he just kind of did it. He just didn't really give a crap about Tony. And once again, we're focused on human Jarvis, but a thing that I learned that is canon in the MCU was that when Jarvis died in the film universe, Tony made the Jarvis that we know now, the AI. He made it after Jarvis, and because Jarvis has always been there for him, and even though like him and Jarvis always squabble together, he's always been the person that's always been with him. There's been a constant that Tony's had in his life, and probably the closest thing to family that Tony still has. So when Jarvis died, he made AI Jarvis. And, they always have a really cool relationship with that. Now, unfortunately, I have to go back to human Jarvis. And that relationship still exists, though, in the comics. And they have very much a very similar relationship between Bruce and Alfred. So, they're always, like, giving banter back and forth and saying that, oh, who did you beat up this day? To Master Stark? Oh, Crimson Dynamo just came into town. I just like punched his helmet a couple of times. Now, what I think gives Jarvis maybe a little bit more of a push is that Tony Tony made Stark Towers into a headquarters for the Avengers. So a lot of time Jarvis has to be on hand and foot for all of the Avengers when they have their meetings. And, sometimes the Justice League meets in the Batcave, but they usually have, the Watchtower to do that. A lot of times Jarvis has to be with Master Stark. And hey, if that means having to take care of an entire tower full of superheroes, so be it, because he is just that loyal. So he's done it all with Master Stark. He has served drinks and tea for them whenever they had their meetings. When the events of Civil War was going on, he still made sure that everybody was comfortable and well, situated in their place in the tower. Maybe make sure they had a refreshment, maybe a little bit of a snack that they need to go about. And even when, he gets kidnapped or hurt, he always remains loyal to Tony no matter what.
Well, I think the real winner in this argument is Bruce and Tony, because
honestly, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to have, having a butler, that would be really cool. Somebody to, get me a drink or a snack whenever I need it. But
or clean up your stuff.
Definitely.
Growing up, now that I'm getting older as an adult, I've learned cleaning up after yourself is hard, man.
But what really is great about the two of them, either one, they're both great, confidants, always there for no matter whatever they need, and just everybody needs somebody like that in their life. So
I think the best fact is that both of them are British.
True.
Always a plus.
But in addition to that, we also want to know who you thought won the argument between Brandon and me. So again, you can always let us know who you thought won a fanfic fight by sending us an email to abcpodcast92@gmail.com. Now, before we get out of here, it is my turn to pick a movie that we are going to watch and then come discuss in 2 weeks. Now, the last movie we watched together was Lincoln, and that was a more dramatic, serious movie than we typically do. And before Brandon announced his pick, I was actually planning to do a dramatic, serious movie. And so I was on the fence about whether or not to do it. And then I decided, it's been a while since we watched Lincoln. And the more I thought about watching this movie, the more I realized it's been a long time since I've seen it. I really want to watch it again. And that is the movie American History X.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that is... Wow.
So this is one of the grittiest movies I have ever seen.
It's a hard
movie. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, yeah.
Okay.
It's a hard movie to watch.
Yeah.
Great movie, but hard to watch.
I would say that the movie True Grit is pretty gritty, but this is even grittier than True Grit. Specifically, there's one scene in the movie, and I'm not going to say anything, but you'll probably know it when it comes up. But just trust me, watch it. Just don't. You're going to want to close your eyes. Don't close your eyes. Just watch it. And that's all I'm going to say. So anyway, we are going to talk about that movie in 2 weeks. This movie was rated R by the MPAA for graphic, brutal violence, including rape, pervasive language, strong sexuality, and nudity. So, yeah, this is definitely not going to be a movie that's going to appeal to everybody, but this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like I said, we're going to be talking about this movie in 2 weeks. So go home, watch it, let us know what you think. We'd really love to hear from you. But yeah, that's the end of our show for this week. I said it wasn't going to be a super long episode, and we've been here for almost 3 hours.
Yep.
But to be fair, we did take quite a few breaks. So I don't know why I'm talking about this. I'm just trying to drag it out as long as possible. So, thank you all for listening. We hope you all enjoyed it, and we will catch you all next week.
Bye.